Por el amor de Dios, díganme que me pueden escuchar. Es lo único que me importa en este planeta, en este momento, la neta. Y aparte estoy haciendo rimas sin que nadie me lo pida, sin que nadie me tire a la prima. Y además de ello, no, ya, me voy a cortar el cabello. No voy a continuar con estas rimas, ¿ok? Vamos a tener que detenernos aquí con estas estupideces. Vamos a hablar de cosas serias, cosas importantes, ¿no? ¿Qué va? ¿Qué va? Vamos a simplemente, como siempre, especular, platicar de tonterías y después vamos a ir al casino del tío Salo, por supuesto, con todos ustedes, para que podamos continuar como especuladores de bien, como diría José Luis Cava. Somos especuladores de bien. No, tío, somos unos degenerados, enfermos, que nos gusta ponernos un tuxedo, no un smoking, un buen traje para pretender que vamos a ir a apostar elegantemente, pero en realidad es como el güey que le está apostando a los caballos meándose los pantalones después de tomar mucho. Ahora, no sé por qué les estoy diciendo todas estas cosas, pero vamos a empezar esto rápidamente. Título del video: la recesión se acabó, fue cancelada, damas y caballeros. Muy buenas noticias para todo el mundo está muy contento, están viendo el mercado pompear tantito y eso nos pone en una buena situación. Pero la verdad, la realidad de por qué quería ponerle este nombre al video es porque todo el mundo ahora está pensando que nos vamos a ir a una recesión, lo que normalmente no resulta en ser correcto, que es interesante. Y esto me lleva una vez más al escenario que más me preocupa. Y ahora no estoy diciendo que no sea posible, etcétera. Siempre les digo, ¿no? De todas maneras, da igual lo que piense, da igual, absolutamente igual. Solamente en mi punto de vista, desde mis ojitos, desde mi perspectiva, desde cómo se siente mi nepe en esta situación, les puedo decir tranquilamente que personalmente pienso que el país, Estados Unidos, está pasando por algo muy malo. Y la prueba puede ser más sencilla de lo que todos esperamos. El hecho que puedas simplemente financiar tus burritos debería de poner una alarma roja bastante grande para todo el mundo. ¿Por qué la gente tiene que financiar una orden de DoorDash por $29.99? ¿Qué está pasando? Entonces, esto es un problema, esta recesión, entre comillas, es un problema que lleva un rato. Se llama esta inflación. Lo hemos platicado por cuánto tiempo llevamos, fácilmente quiero decir 2 años, 2023 seguro, 2024 100%, y este año puede que veamos todo bajar. Lo que quiero decirle a todos ustedes es, tengamos y pongamos mucha atención a lo que está haciendo Elon Musk. Elon Musk le gusta, y lo ha dicho varias veces el perro, donde dice, a mí no me gusta que las cosas pasen rápido, tiene que pasar lento, porque si no, no hay tiempo ni periodo de adaptación y entonces puedes tener sorpresas. Y por eso, cuando empezaron a despedir a la gente que trabaja en el gobierno, les dieron 8 meses. Entonces, todo el mundo esperando que esto pase rápidamente, etcétera. Y ahora, el peor escenario es simplemente estar en este tipo de estanflación y simplemente continuarlo. Lo hemos platicado varias veces acá. Eso es el peor escenario, porque se siente que nada está pasando, se siente que todo se está yendo de lado y que literalmente nada está pasando y este es el peor tiempo de todos, porque ves que las cosas están mal, pero volteas y te dicen, no, pero es que no hay recesión. Pero volteas a ver y dices que todo se está yendo a la mierda, pero es que volteas y todo está bien en las noticias. Entonces hay muchas cosas, izquierda, derecha, que nos están dando este cansancio de seguirlo platicando. Y simplemente yo creo que, uno, si estás en una situación difícil en esta economía en Estados Unidos, entiende, estás pasando por algo que no es normal. Este tipo de economías no es normal. Vas a poder, obviamente, eventualmente salir del hoyo, siempre y cuando, obviamente, pongamos tantito pensamiento detrás de lo que vamos a hacer para adelante. Siempre podrás. Y para los que no están siendo afectados en este pedo, un poco mi estilo, personalmente, ahora, diferentes negocios que tengo tienen diferentes cosas. Personalmente, y no me voy a juntar con mis negocios, me voy a meter en ellos, personalmente me está yendo bastante bien y estoy muy agradecido al Señor, a Jesucristo, a Abu, a Abdin, no sé cuánta gente tengo que mencionar en el otro lado, pero está yendo muy bien, entonces no me debería sentir que estoy en una recesión. Lo que sí sé y lo que sí me doy cuenta es la cantidad de dinero que me tengo que gastar todos los putos días. Si quiero salir a respirar, abro la puerta y se salen $100 de mi bolsa. ¿A nadie más le pasa? No, todo el mundo así, no, güey, creo que tus bolsas tienen problemas. Pero todo está muy caro. Eso ahí es donde a mí personalmente sí me afecta, porque cuando voy a a mis cenas con mi mujer de sushi, que no. Güey, no mames lo que sale. O sea, siempre pregunto quién cogió y tristemente nadie. Ya llevamos casados 10 años, entonces se imaginarán. Pero no sé por qué amanecí con el payaso en la boca. Discúlpenme. Discúlpenme, no sé qué está pasando. También, justo Luis Cárdenas acaba de dar un comentario por acá, perdón, estoy volteando a ver el chat por primera vez en la mañana, que hablemos de las pirámides. Güey, las pirámides, ¿vieron lo que encontraron debajo de las pirámides en Egipto? Por el amor de Dios, la pirámide de Giza le hicieron básicamente imágenes a través de satélite que usa básicamente radar para poder verlo por abajo y mucha gente dice, güey, no puedes traspasar el radar si lo avientas desde el cielo hasta abajo. Yo no soy experto en esto, ¿ok? Lo que vi es alguien que dijo muy bien y dio muy bien el argumento que no es tal cual como lo sacaron, que el satélite viendo para abajo, apuntando a las pirámides, lo que ahora puede medir también son vibraciones y estas vibraciones, básicamente sonidos, es lo que crean el contexto debajo y todos los datos están arriba. ¿Tengo cara de experto de esto? No, no sé ni cómo cambiar una llanta en un mal día, por el amor de Dios. Así que no vayan a decir, güey, el tío solo fue el que me dijo esto. ¿Sabes qué? Sí, ve y dile a la gente así, porque todos tenemos ese tío que dice puras pendejadas que nunca está en lo correcto. Simplemente que este es un tío compartido para todos ustedes, sobre todo para las mamás calientes. No, tranquilos, estoy casado, no puedo hacer eso. En fin, una locura lo que está pasando. Si eso fuera cierto, eso quiere decir, para los que no sepan, está la pirámide, ¿no? Aquí arriba, y abajo tienen tubos que son como esto, que bajan por kilómetros. Y además tiene una base de cemento en la parte de abajo. Una verdadera locura. No sé qué sea, no sé cómo lo vayamos a investigar más, si es simplemente algo que nos quieren poner enfrente para distraernos chido de algo más, no sé. Igual y también tiene que ver un poco con esos grandes bombardeos que estamos haciendo en ¿cómo se llama? En Siria, por supuesto. Una pequeña advertencia a Irán, son unos bombardeos y una destrucción total de Siria, pero solamente es una advertencia, así que no se me preocupen por nada, esto es cosa normal. De vuelta a la recesión, ¿se canceló la recesión? Personalmente creo que seguimos en el mismo hoyo, tíos. Seguimos en el mismo hoyo. Definitivamente seguimos en el mismo hoyo. Todavía no hemos salido del agujero. Hay cosas que cambiarán. Espero que sí. Espero que todo lo que nos han dicho, no todo, porque nunca pasa todo. Todo lo que te dicen los políticos no pasa. Por más que quieran decírtelo, hay veces no pasa. Entonces, lo que sí espero es lo que ha dicho Elon Musk, ese recorte de gasto de gobierno, poco a poco, que vaya a pegar eventualmente, etcétera. Pero también les quiero decir esto, el hecho de que todo el mundo esté se va a la recesión. En el 2022, la gente se tardó en admitir que estábamos en el hoyo 4 meses después de que el mercado empezó a bajar. 4 meses. Entonces, voy a darle que a esto pasó demasiado rápido. Yo creo que nos tienen que dar buenas noticias por un rato y después bolas, güey. Porque ahorita que todo el mundo sepa, por el amor de Dios. Cuando veo a todos los youtubers que están de mi lado es cuando sé que estoy mal. Maldita sea. Y esto aplica para mí también. Así que, ¿cómo van a saber cuándo estoy mal o cuándo estoy bien? Todo el tiempo estoy mal. Pero solamente piénsenlo. Oigan, es todo lo que les quiero decir. Más allá de eso, en los mercados, para toda la gente, antes de entrar aquí, que ya tengo a Farhan y a Alex esperando, para toda la gente que está metida en los mercados, tienen que entender personalmente, como yo lo veo, y ahora cada quien lo ve como quiera, estamos dentro de un cambio de tendencia, una tendencia bajista. Tuvimos una caída agresiva, pero después de una caída agresiva tiene que haber rebotes. Los mejores rebotes que el mercado ha dado, en mi opinión, últimamente, bueno, sí, últimamente, fueron en 2022. O sea, güey, te daban pompazos que hacían pensar que ya todo esto se acabó y regresaba potentemente hasta arriba y después volvía a caer. Y esos pompazos siempre hay que aprovecharlos. Es un poco más difícil hacer trading en este tipo de entorno porque se te pierde un poco la canica, ¿no? Macro, estamos bajistas, pero dentro de lo bajista podemos ser alcistas en lo que está pegando el rip para arriba. Y eso es justamente lo que vamos a analizar el día de hoy. Damas y caballeros, les traigo al buen Alex, al buen Farhan por acá, para que podamos analizar esto. Pero antes, y por supuesto, déjenme les comparto pantalla para que vean mis tristes. ¿Se puede ver bien? Ahí está. Cáiganle, perros, al Discord de Elite Trading Academy. El enlace está en la parte aquí abajo. Si estás en X, ahorita voy a ir corriendo como imbécil a poner todos los enlaces que siempre se me olvidan ponerlos después de que abro el en vivo, porque simplemente no tengo nada en la cabeza. Pero eso da igual. La única que debe estar preocupada ahí es mi mujer. Pero de nuevo, se equivocó hace 17 años y no se ha dado cuenta, así que chiste está en ella. Cáiganle a nuestro Discord, vengan a platicar con toda la comunidad, por supuesto. Ya saben, nuestros menús están del lado izquierdo, del lado derecho tenemos todo lo que puedes ver en el menú. Esto es los greetings, el hola, vengan a decir qué tal, cómo les va. Vengan a checar el análisis de Alex, el potente análisis de Farhan. También vengan a platicar en el chat general. Me han dicho que han estado subiendo porquerías acá. Así que tápense los ojos. Si llegan a ver alguna porquería en este momento, por favor, vayan y reporten a otro creador de contenido, no a mí. Estoy muy ocupado para tener estos reportes, pero lo voy a compartir rápido en el chat general y vamos a ir para abajo rápido. Ok, aquí estamos, todo el mundo ya en la mañana, estamos todos acá saludando. Vengan a ver cómo estamos, vengan a platicar con ellos. Es bueno siempre apoyarte con una comunidad de trading. ¿Por qué? Porque a veces tus ideas es bueno rebotarlas, cabrón. No sabes todo. Déjate de hablar a ti mismo, Alejandro. Ok, basta. Basta, estoy teniendo un episodio esta mañana. Vengan a ver el Criptolingo, donde platicamos, no tiene nada que ver con el Conolingo, es muy diferente. Aquí es donde les enseñamos todas las definiciones de todo lo que es cripto y todo lo que necesitan saber de términos que a veces no son tan comunes. Aquí los tenemos en inglés y en español, por supuesto. También tenemos nuestros P&L cards. Vengan a contarnos cuánto han perdido, cuánto han ganado. A ver, güey, carga. Eso, carga, ahí está un 93%, nada mal, nada mal. 200%, 11%, 12%, bien, bien, vengan a compartir, también si han perdido, vengan y compartan sus pérdidas, de todas maneras, aquí es donde nos podemos enterar, no en casa no en tu casa, no quieres que tu mujer sepa que perdiste, acá Rodil lo hizo bien, vino a compartir con su comunidad secreta, ahora nosotros lo compartimos a todos lados acá y puede que su mujer le hable en este momento y le arranque los huevos, pero puede que no y se está divirtiendo. Así. Vengan a pedir tablas, vengan a dejar un testimonial si tienen algún testimonial bueno, se aprecia muchísimo como siempre y cualquier cosa que necesiten, aquí estamos, también tienen aquí nuestros enlaces para lo que necesiten, funciona todo súper bien y ahora recuerden, nunca les vamos a mandar un mensaje, nunca les vamos a decir, güey, invierte con nosotros, danos dinero. No nos interesa, honestamente, los pedos de toda la gente es demasiado para poder lidiar con ello, pero, si ustedes gustan y son unos degenerados igual que nosotros, caigan a nuestro sitio de web y acá, para tradear futuros con nosotros, métanse a Tutos, le van a dar en Tutos, ya todo el mundo se la sabe, le van a tradear. ¿Cómo tradear en Bluffing? Una vez más, todo es absolutamente gratuito. Aparece un video de 5 minutos, ves el video de 5 minutos y estás listo. Sabes cómo fondear tu cuenta, cómo abrir un corto, un long, etcétera. Le picas acá y te lanzas a tradear en Bluffing. Bluffing es donde traemos futuros de criptomonedas, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, bueno, Ethereum en el pasado, ¿no? Porque Solana, todo el mundo odia Ethereum ahorita, es el hijo no querido, es la oveja negra de la familia. Pero también tenemos BTCC, el análisis. El enlace está aquí abajo. BTCC, podemos hacer lo mismo también con criptomonedas hasta 500X. No se lo recomiendo a nadie que esté empezando para nada. Pero también tenemos acciones tokenizadas. Puedes comprar Tesla, puedes comprar Microsoft, puedes comprar Google, puedes comprar Amazon, lo que sea. Puedes hacerle long, puedes hacerle corto y funciona idéntico que esto. Así que si quieres usar BTCC, puedes usar este video también. Usa el enlace que está en BTCC para poder participar y además te dan 10% de lo que deposites. Así que hasta $100,000, que se me hace bastante bueno. Si tienes $100,000, mételo 100,000, te dan $10,000, así que puedes retirar. Hay veces que estas promos en cripto lo hacen cuando los exchanges quieren crecer. Esta es una de esas. Yo digo que aprovechen si tienen la oportunidad. Y no tiene que ser $100,000. $50,000 son $5,000. $10,000 te da $1,000 gratis. 10% de tus depósitos. Hasta $100,000. ¿Ok? Para que después no digan y no les cuenten. Así que vengan acá, participen con nosotros. Y ahora, si quieres aprender de todas las cosas que estamos hablando acá y no entiendes nada y, güey, quiero aprender a hacer trading, pero la neta no entiendo nada, ahí está nuestro curso de Cero a Trader, cuesta $29.99, no nos vamos a ser millonarios con él. Yo quería ser millonario, vende cursos, millonario, pero todo triste, todavía no me funciona. Yo creo que es el agua y los hielos todavía no están tan fríos como deberían de estar, ni las bananas tan bananosas, pero vamos a seguir intentándolo. Y ahí lo tiene nuestro curso de Cero a Trader, se lo echan 1 hora 40 minutos, literalmente sin abrir una sola tabla vas a poder entender todo lo que estamos platicando acá y lo que no, pues también puede ser parte de los en vivos, platicar. Tenemos clases cada 2 semanas. Ahí lo tienen. Damas y caballeros, les traigo a Alex, a Farhan. Vamos a empezar esto. Guten morning, boys.
Guten Buenos dias, muchachos. This morning was quite fucking crazy. You fellas know about it.
Because of the cat, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
My
That little pussy.
because we have to put our jugs of water outside. We have this big ass, like those huge jugs of water that you put in the dispensers. So we put it outside whenever we want a new one, and they come and replace it. So my girlfriend goes to put the old one outside, and then our neighbor's dog just runs in the house right after Fibbo, and then she goes to grab him and try to protect him, and Fibbo scratches the fuck out of her and pisses all over her and shit, and Fibbo is just traumatized.
Yeah.
And also your girlfriend.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Her hands wouldn't stop
this
shaking. She was like this on the way to work.
This is what it feels like to be an adult over 40, dude. So, you just got a little taste right now. Every day you just wake up with that anxiety, feeling traumatized.
And the worst part is I was listening to this while I was shitting my guts out on the toilet.
I was sleeping. I feel bad. He's shitting, I'm sleeping, and she's just getting murked and pissed off. That's so bad. I feel bad.
Oh, it's fucking Wednesday, so that's probably has something to do with it. Hump day, baby. Hump day. All righty. Well, you know what? Let's get going with some Bitcoin action, because I think there's a lot of questions up in the air, and I think we want to make sure that everyone's on the same page with us and that we understand. And Alex, your screen was shared first, so that's what we're gonna go with.
Cool. Yeah, there is a lot of questions in the air, a lot of implications. People are wondering what's going on, and honestly, not really much has changed. I will explain what's going on. And what we had from Monday stream up until now is absolutely nothing different. And I'll explain. So what we had was some nice busting action on Monday. We were going up, and I was talking about on stream where we want to see that daily EMA 34 actually get reclaimed. That was very important, because on Bitcoin, what we noticed is on the daily up until this point where we lost it here in February, we've been slowly rejecting that daily EMA 34. And so right when we're rallying up to this point, I have to be very cognizant of that idea, because that's just what has been occurring. We rejected it here, and also at this point, we rejected it. So we actually got the reclaim, and that was good. I mean, bulls got it. We went down. We can obviously wick a little below, and that's why we use our lower time frames to kind of see where we could bounce potentially. And I even have like a little line here that I drew on stream. Kind of, I believe I drew this. Let me see. Yeah, it is a meme line, and it's just showing kind of like a mid-range. It's kind of what we gathered from there. So for me now, I mean, we're just watching closely how today develops. It's an early day. New York session just opened. Excuse me. And we have to just be really, understanding of this EMA 34, because as long as we're above the EMA 34 on a closing basis, anything before the close, that can go below, it can go above, but as long as we close above it, that is going to give us that technical target of being that EMA 100 right at 90,200. It's a very significant point. I mean, if you've watched at least the past week or two of the stream, we've talked about that zone being pretty big on Bitcoin. If we go and actually just look at that EMA 100, generally speaking, that is what has been, kind of guiding major bottoms on Bitcoin this entire bull market. I mean, I remember this low here. This was literally one of the most obvious long triggers you could have ever had. We busted up. Everyone was extremely bullish. We rejected the 49Ks, came all the way down at a $12,000 correction, came directly to the EMA 100, hit support, formed a nice little hammerhead, held it again, and then we got expansion up. And that's kind of how that EMA 100 on the dailies been for Bitcoin. You either lose it and quickly reclaim it and then go up, or you lose it, and then that's just been nice rejection points whenever you're under it. And that's kind of why I have a very easy short criteria. Above the EMA 100 on the daily, I don't like to short Bitcoin or swing short Bitcoin or be aggressive with shorts. And when we're under it, that's when I like to only be really aggressive with shorts than longs. And so Bitcoin is bullish and the daily is still in an uptrend. And this is what's confusing a lot of people, I believe, because when you stick to the lower time frames over the higher time frames, yeah, the lower time frames are looking good. This isn't an uptrend, in my opinion. We are consistently making higher lows to higher highs, but we're not breaking out. And that's why, in my opinion, 91,300 is extremely important for Bitcoin. Now, some people are looking at 92. Makes a lot of sense. You have 92.5 being also a major point. I'm basing it on the wicks. And so 91.3 was extremely important, especially when you view it on like a weekly. When you view it on the weekly, it kind of actually makes a lot of sense. So what we had was a major support, major range, and this was major support at 91.3. Each and every dump we had into this zone led to nice buybacks each and every time. I mean, this got bought up, this got bought up, that got bought up, this got bought up, this got bought up, this got bought up, this one did, and then we broke down, and even this one did. Now we took out all the liquidity, but still held support. Now, this is where things shifted, right? This is when, in my opinion, once you wicked below specifically that $89,000 low, this is when everything shifted on the weekly, and you are now in a weekly downtrend. You would have already been understanding that things are shifting just simply because of how that weekly 9 was rejecting us. You see, we lost it, we were under it, rejected it, and then this is when we full-blown rejected and actually deviated away from it. This was... we haven't been that far away from the weekly 9. I mean, since that dump to the 49Ks, in my opinion. So it's pretty dramatic. It was a range break. If we're looking at this range, and we're also playing the weekly 9, that's always been an important part for Bitcoin. And so, yes, we're rallying up. The daily's in an uptrend. We are lower time frame bullish, but it hasn't changed anything on the higher time frames. What we actually see is weekly volatility is still expanding. From extreme lows, we go and view the 2-week. This is interesting because we now see the 2-week is fully contracted. And within the next opening, this will be giving us a setup. That's very, very important because when you have the weekly, the 2-week, and the monthly all in sequence with giving us a volatility setup, generally that's been the recipe for those gigantic moves. You need the 2-week, the monthly, the weekly to all be reset. This basically is almost there. You have the 2-week reset with, not extreme low volatility, but definitely could reach there. Under 15% is good enough for me, specifically on a 2-week, because what we have seen on Bitcoin is generally these 2-week setups have been pretty big. I mean, what we see is this one here in 2020 led us all the way up to the all-time high. It wasn't until we had that reset where we had that move down. And then we again started to reset, had to move up, had another volatility setup back in January 2022 on the 2-week. This was our bear market move all the way down. And then we see here, lots of chop, but essentially back in August, that August, September, October, the Hamas setup essentially is what brought us to where we're at now in this whole bull market. This is on the backs of the 2-week setup. We even go and view here in this bull market. You can see off the backs of this bull market began on the 2-week BBWP setup. You can see we started to really come down when we started to contract. And then again, off the backs of this whole bull market, right here, this move is when we started to really reset BBWP and then move up. I mean, these 2 weeks generally lead to major moves, and it makes sense because the monthly often leads to major moves, bull or bear market moves. And the 2-week is, the next time frame before the monthly. So you're going to be expecting major moves with the 2-week and the monthly, similar to the weekly or the 5-day, but just bigger. And so now we have a 2-week setup. Bulls are excited. Bulls are horny. But again, has it really changed anything on the higher time frame? Like, I understand if we go, and what's been confusing the people is this. When we were caught in this range here where we're putting in bullish structure, we view the daily SMA 200 and we view the daily EMA 200. This is what's confusing people because all in this chop here, I was citing caution, saying we don't really want to be bullish as long as we're under specifically the daily SMA 200 and also that EMA 200. And that's just basic trading. I mean, when you are holding the EMA 200 and the SMA 200, specifically the SMA 200, generally it's just, you go up on Bitcoin specifically, you just go up. But when you're under it, generally speaking, that's when you kind of want to be cautious. You have more of a chance of going down, breaking down, and going lower. And so all throughout this chop, and this is what that was, chop, because, the market understands how we trade. It's not like we're geniuses. It's very basic trading. And I'm sure there was a lot of people doing what I was doing, trying to short the deviations here, because technically each one of these was a short setup. You have an SFP invalidated on this not being the bearish retest. Another SFP, okay, finally got the bearish retest. I remember this. We took the short, gave it on the Discord. Bitcoin then ended up from that point going down. I mean, 3%. I think I was up like 10 grand at that point. Higher low. That's why I was always talking about we have to break the last higher low, which was at this point 80,000 basically. Another higher low came up, reclaimed the daily 9, and wasn't until here where it invalidated the short. And then what we see is another SFP right at this point with a daily EMA 34 rejection. Again, just kind of predatory to shorts because that's where we've been rejecting and going down big. Okay, another bearish retest for the short trigger. This is what I gave on the Discord. Added to my short. We did go down on 1% barely. Again, see how you're not really breaking away from this point. It's just more chop. And then this is when we broke out. And at this point, I covered all shorts on crypto. I took a minor loss, and I said I don't want to short until we get what? The daily EMA 100. That is a really big spot on Bitcoin. This is kind of like my last spot. If you start getting above this zone, I mean, how has that played out for bulls, when we have SFP'd that? Well, I mean, generally speaking, when you're under it, you hold the EMA 200 and go up. This is where you don't want to short. It's like if you have the no shorting criteria once you're above the EMA 100, generally that's been a good idea. If you just like, okay, at this point, I'm not shorting. Okay, cool. That would have saved you a lot of pain. And then here, okay, cool. I'm opening a short here that you would have printed. You would have had to cancel your short on this chop. You could have easily repositioned on the bearish retest and then had a really nice trade all the way down. We go here. Okay, cool. I'm opening a short. We're rejecting. Oh, nope. We just took out my stop. I'm not going to aggressively take this because we are now above the EMA 100. Here's where you could have easily longed, right? Simple reclaim, bullish retest. That would have worked out well. That's why my trading strategy on these moving averages are pretty simple. You just have to respect them. And that's why when you get to these points, they have to be major opportunities, and use other time frames, of course, like the weekly 9, and so forth to kind of gauge that strength. But generally, this has worked well. I mean, even if you used it here in this downward move, okay, cool. At this point, you were flirting with the daily EMA 100, broke down. Maybe you didn't catch the short, but you could have caught this one. And this is kind of the idea where we want to really gauge the short at the daily EMA 100 because sitting on your hands, playing this simple moving average, would have printed you 11%. I mean, and even playing here would have printed you another 5%. And then just closing the short once it got reclaimed, essentially would have been good. So in a bear market, this strategy just works really well, in my opinion. You generally, in a bear market, if you're super bearish, you want us to definitely get under the SMA 200, absolutely get under the EMA 100, and then generally you use those 2 points as rejection areas. Use the EMA 100 and the SMA 200. Now, if you want to aggressively trade, you can use the 200 as well for the EMA. And now what you have is like a little range here, right? And you can see that your first logical rejection point would be what? The EMA 100. Get above there, you go to the 200. That should be your second rejection place. You get above there, now you're at the last stand, which is the SMA 200, where you absolutely have to reject if you're going to be in a bear market. And so just playing that in this whole entire bear market printed me a lot of money. I mean, short here worked out. Okay, cool. When you short there, worked out, and you're just playing the trend. And when you're using the higher time frame moving averages, I mean, that's where trend becomes your friend. And it works in a bull market as well. It's just until you start getting chop where it doesn't really work. And that's why we need volatility for, a lot of these moves, because when you're getting chop, you're not going to get follow through. And then at that point, you're just going to kind of get, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. You're just in, you're out, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. And that's tricky. And that's why trading is like that sometimes. So that's kind of the confusion of now. I mean, that is what was happening. I was very short here. I got stopped out on this move up, no big deal. And now I'm just patiently waiting. Now, visually, right, we easily at this point, because now we're in a daily uptrend, we understand that, right? This is a higher low. This is a higher high. And so visually, without all the other moving averages, HPDR, if we started to reject the mid-range here, you easily could just come to this point and then go up, form another higher low. We kind of trap longs here, trap in quotation marks. And then at this point, we get that move up to the 90Ks because this just leads to, just another higher low. Shorts kind of ape in on support. And what this will do, I believe, is reset daily PBWP because, we were expanding here. This was kind of making me like bricked up for 90K yesterday. But now that we see it's resetting, I have to go in the bias that, yeah, we absolutely could have a minor pullback here. But remember, that's where then we're going to use the lower time frame. So then I'm going to go to like the 8 hour, right? And what we see on the 8 hours becomes very obvious to me, especially if we use just these 3 moving averages, which is, okay, cool. We see here the 8 hours in an uptrend, if the daily is in an uptrend, so that makes a lot of sense. We understand here if we start then dissecting if this is bullish or not. Let me get this off. I can see, okay, has the silver crossed? Well, let's see. Oh, the 8 hour has silver crossed. Interesting. Okay, so that's another point of confluence on. If we do get a pullback here, we shouldn't really be too concerned. We should just play the trend. But then also what you see is on this 8 hour where we've solidly been rejecting that EMA 100. Excuse me. Now what you see is we're actually holding it and trying to base on it as support. That is bullish. And what you'll notice is technically the next target would be 90,000, which is really good confluence to that daily EMA 100. What you have on this move down is a silver cross retest on the 8 hour. Yes, we went a little below it, but we haven't broken the uptrend yet, in my opinion. And so now as long as we hold above, this is closing in about an hour and 50 minutes, should be good to go up. Now, it's not until you start losing what? It's very simple, the EMA 100 and that EMA 9. Now, luckily for us, it's coming right around the same zone. Here it's a little more tricky. Lost the EMA 100, which then it ultimately acted like a bear trap, in my opinion, because then we formed a higher low and then bounced off the 9. That's why it's a little tricky. That's why I like using the 9 on top of all these other moving averages because it just helps. But luckily for us, the 9 and the 100 is right around the same zone. So if we start really losing that 100 and the 9, it's going to give you good confidence. We're probably going to come back down to like 86K. Now, then at that point, we'll have to be questioning this whole entire move up and wondering if we're potentially just going to reject the weekly 21. And this was a spot I was saying on Monday. We very, very, very easily could just reject the 21 here, leave the 9 as like a trap, cause the 9 to come more down, matching this wick high so that we technically hit it, but never actually breaching 89K or even filling our 90K shorts. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to TP at 90,000 and also want to short at 90K. Sometimes Bitcoin won't always be so clean. And even so forth, I could easily do this and be like, use this wick low, draw a meme line and say, okay, well, we're already slightly rejecting resistance here. But I won't do that. I don't like just drawing lines to draw lines, of course, because then they really would be meme lines, would they? And so you just have to understand that. The 21 has been a big spot on Bitcoin. The hopium is, yes, we go up a little higher. We go up to the 90,000s. We actually tested the weekly 9. Now, anyone watching this channel would have already been gauging that. Weekly 9 is very important. But, I mean, on top of that, you're trying to use the weekly 9 with the daily EMA 100, giving you that range around like 90,300 to possibly a wick to 91.3. But as long as we still reject under that 21, you do have to understand that this could just fizzle out 1, 2, 3 weeks up, stops at the weekly 21, and that's it. We just start coming down. That's totally in Bitcoin. Like I've seen that a lot actually, where it's like 3 consistent weeks up. I want to short up here, max short. We go up to the 21. I don't want to front run it because front running it on the daily got me smoked. So I will be stingy here. And then we start rolling over and I end up just shorting this deviation here. So we just have to understand we're in a tricky spot. It's not going to be so cutthroat. I hope it is, obviously, but we very well could reject here, specifically when you have Kramer talking about his Bitcoin plan for GameStop is playing out. GameStop now is starting to buy crypto. Saylor just bought, I think, like, I don't know, more crypto a few days ago. Generally, at least I can talk about in the bear market, he usually marked some kind of top when he would buy. Now in the bull, he kind of, marked bottom. So again, it's a tricky spot, but we are still, in my opinion, itching towards the bear market. Now we're not in a bear market yet, and I haven't full-blown called for that yet because of the monthly 9. It's very simple. You stay above the monthly 9, you really can't talk about a bear market quite yet, but you can have signs of one. You can talk about the loomings of one, but it's not confirmed until you lose that monthly 9. We view the monthly 5, though, to give me more confluence of this idea that, yeah, we very well could just start rejecting here, which I hope not because I'm not short yet, but it's just because of the monthly 5. You lost the monthly 5 on this dump. It made sense to get a move up to it, retest it as resistance, and ideally now it needs to be proven to you as resistance by rejecting. Again, just giving you more of that idea that we're kind of in a range in the monthly. It's totally not out of Bitcoin's nature where we range from the monthly 5 to the monthly 9. And so far now, we're still under the monthly 5. Now, yes, we're very close to going above it. But with what we know at the weekly, we do have to be somewhat slightly concerned that we potentially could just start rejecting right here. This weekly could easily turn red. And yes, what has taken Bitcoin 3 weeks to go up could get eliminated in 1 week. That is the reality of these kind of downtrends on the weekly. So, I just want people to understand I'm still very bearish on Bitcoin. I'm still very bearish, but I have to play the levels. And if I'm going to get a long trigger, I'll post it on the Discord. But that doesn't necessarily mean I'm all in, balls deep long, and now I'm bullish and we're going to 100K. Absolutely not. You can just visually see the long trigger. You have a silver cross on the 8-hour. You have the EMA 100 holding. You have an easy uptrend. So okay, if we start taking out this low, you're wrong. You don't want a long. So in that scenario, instead of telling everyone to scale shorts here while we're holding support at that point, possibly forming a bull flag, now that's invalidating. To me, it just makes more sense to possibly look for a long here. Let's see if we get back above 87.5, and then we can make the move up to this zone. This zone is very important because we just have lots of confluence on the moving averages on all time frames. I mean, the daily, the weekly. You have the 8-hour, you have the 4-hour, I even believe. Let's check before I say that. No 4-hour, but still 8-hour. I think even the 6-hour, yeah, 90K. Telling you that this is a pretty big spot, 90,000. Now, yes, we can go a little above that, but as I've shown before, I really just kind of want to see this rally stop max at 91,300. 91,300. That way we actually get the retest here. We can easily go up to like 92.5, 92.3. But remember, at that point, it's going to be very questionable on the 5-day then. Because our whole idea is that the 5-day, the weekly trend is not going to shift here. And so for that to not occur, we just ideally now, let me see here. We need that. So we came up, boom, boom. I mean, you're really supposed to be looking at this high as the last lower high on the macro. It's like 95.1. But you could be aggressive and even look at it on here. I don't know if that would be wise. What is this high? This is 85.3. No. What am I doing here? Oh yeah, right here. 91.3. It's like in my you technically could look at that. So again, that just gives you confluence of the idea that you know, this could easily give you an easy trade here, like very easy trade where it's like we position here, not long. Let me go over here. Boom, boom, short, stop right there. Your TP is all the way here. Boom. It's like, can just be that simple, in my opinion. But the issue is just because of where we're rejecting now. Even on the weekly, you're rejecting the 21. You see the monthlies below the 5, and you still see the 5 days under the 9. Now, the 5 days under the 9 is significant. We have this closing today. We're going to want to gauge that because the 5-day has been the spot where Bitcoin has rejected. Yes, we've worked above that very easily, but still, we want to really gauge this. And we also see the 9 is crossing the 21. Now, this is why Bitcoin chops, and this is why I should have stuck to the higher time frames because, you know, where I'm trying to, you know, see, okay, we probably won't go up to here because we're still under these levels, led to a nice trap because what that did was it chopped me out. I'm not positioned now. And I don't feel comfortable taking a trade where I have a bias that we could go to 90,000, 90,300, but we very, very easily could just reject 88,000. But since I've already been chopped out on the daily, I want to be more stingy before I give another short or even go short myself because of that. And that is literally the psychology of the market. That is why we chop. That is why, you know, we have a system and things like that. So for me now, I will just stick to my system. I want to see the 8-hour though. Let me get this off. I want to see the 8-hour hold above the EMA 100. I have to use just past knowledge on this range and say, okay, well, when we lost that 8-hour EMA 100, you know, that was a cause of concern. Now you can say, well, Alex, what about here? Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. Chop. So for us now, I want to see the 8-hour EMA 100 and the 8-hour 9 get lost. If those two things occur within the next hour and 42 minutes, I will then be saying, okay, we really then have to be on the camp that we very well could go down. And if we start losing, you know, specifically like 86,000, I then need to then start looking for possibly another short trigger before our 90K bid. And that'll just be based on, you know, the way the candles are looking now. We've been in a nice uptrend. We want to be cognizant of the idea that, you know, we could be forming a topping candle here as well. Make it easy for us if it does. You know, at least very well could throw it back, go to the SMA 200. Very well could easily get another short trigger if we deviate that. That's my confirmation on the daily. It's like the 8-hour losing the 9 and the 100. Great. Probably gives us that confluence to move to 86,000, possibly to 85.4. It's not until you are under the daily EMA 200 and also the SMA 200 where it's off. I mean, we're wrong. We're probably going to break down from that point, in my opinion. You know, and that'll just be it. And that's the criteria now. But until then, we're still going to be respecting the trend, and we very well could bounce from here. So now let's look at the HBDR and let's see if there's any confluence of that idea. Okay, cool. So we see here the daily is now rejecting the median. We're under it. So that's good confluence of the idea. If the daily starts losing the median, I'm going to be concerned because that'll, again, give me the idea that we're going to go down to 85. Going down to 85 will be slightly concerning because at that point, I do think the move will be aggressively down to 85,000. And if we start testing this area, what you'll notice is 38.2% is sitting right around that SMA 200. I don't find that a coincidence. If we end up coming all the way down, we really could start breaking down from this point, unraveling this entire uptrend. Each one of these lines represents each higher low on the daily. So what you can see is if we start really coming down to here, you start breaking that higher low, it becomes a mess for bulls and they become heavily trapped, and it's the stair step up, elevator down case. So we don't want to be too stingy on that entry on the short. I still have hope though. There's nothing telling me that there's, you know, no reason why that won't fill. But don't get it twisted. This daily could change things. We could easily put in a topping candle. We easily could have an invalidation, and we very well could give a short at 87.5, which could just be another median, right, rejection after we lose it today. So I recommend everyone just watches closely on the signals because I'll be watching this. I don't want to give us, you know, shorts way lower if we're going to break down now, specifically if BBWP is reset on the daily. You want to be gauging because the hopium is still alive here. I was saying, okay, cool. If this daily BBWP resets, we very well could start moving up. And the idea at this point was to reject this zone, right? The SMA 200, and then actually have that daily volatility fire to the downside. It makes sense. If we're going to go to 73 to 65K, the daily volatility has to support that. So when I started seeing the daily here expand yesterday, I was concerned. I'm like, damn, maybe I'm wrong on this whole idea. And like, maybe Bitcoin's actually going to just bust up. But now what we see is it's resetting. The daily's turning ugly. And this resetting really puts it back into like, we need to then be really watching those daily momentum pivots. We need to be really watching our levels, because as soon as bears get control again, this could easily pop up and Bitcoin could easily nuke from here. Easily nuke. Everyone that wanted to short 73,000 at this point, round trip, they got out, they flipped long, and then we do that, and we're down. And people say that can't happen. That's crazy, Alex. Well, I mean, that is literally what has happened before. I mean, everyone wanted lower here. We busted up, and then we ended up going lower. Like, that is just what Bitcoin does. And in a bear market, if we're gonna play, let's be in a dystopian society, and let's say we are in a bear market.
Well, that's impossible. Kathy Wood came out yesterday and said her target for Bitcoin is $79 billion per Bitcoin. Tesla, $8,500. Ethereum, 99 million LaFerraris per Ethereum. So I don't know, Alex, maybe. But if you want to go and use it as an example, I just need to say this, okay? Because Kathy Wood is never wrong. So please go on.
Of course. No, that's why it's just dystopian. You know, we're not a utopian. It's bad. It's not good. So we'll just say that. But I mean, in a bear market, I mean, that is what happens. Like, let's use this example for current, for what's kind of going on right now, right? We were caught in a range. Let me just draw that really fast. Caught in a range. You could easily extend that. So we're caught in a big range on Bitcoin. You know, we were trying to break out. Cool. We're in this range. Blah, 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 blah. Broke down. At this point, everyone's like, okay, we're going to go to like 29K. Okay, cool. Bitcoin then ends up reclaiming the SMA 200. Busts up. I mean, from this point, let's see how much it went up. 25%. Cool. Went up. And again, similar to this environment, just that's why I'm looking at this area, range, breakdown, everyone shorting like me, rallies up, sticks to the overall EMA 100. All of this is noise. And then what do you have? You have a front run of the EMA 100, similar to now, by just a few thousand. You have a massive evening star on the daily showing, okay, this end of this rally is over, potentially. And then what do you have here? Well, you have what took Bitcoin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, got erased in 1, 2 days. Boom, done. Oh, shit. Well, that's not good. And then at that point, once you lost the SMA 200, right, I'm sure there was a lot of people here taking the short, but lots of chop. So then when they got the easy short, they didn't want to take it because they were thinking they were going to get higher. And this is why you have to be very, very careful of like bear market environments. You have to be okay not getting the position you sometimes want. And then also from here, flip-flopping, because this was just easy. Okay, we lost it. Let me just max short this right there. And then that paid out well. And then what you see is, you know, what took Bitcoin multiple days to get here, only multiple weeks to get here, it only took us like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. 7 days, we just like totally erased this entire. I mean, how many days was this? Let me just see. 23 days. It got erased in what? I'll be conservative. We'll go down to there in 10 days. So it's not absurd, boys. Not absurd. That's my point. And so what do we have now? Well, you know, we had the dump. Everyone wanted 73. I wanted 73K. I did. We then move up. We then chop at the SMA 200. So therefore, people won't take the easy short anymore. We rally up. We missed the EMA 100 by just a few $1,000s. We then form a disgusting top candle on this daily. ideally now, if we can just get under the SMA 200, that could be the easy short trigger. But in my opinion, today we easily could get one. So that's why I'm going to be watching closely. But remember, the trend is your friend, and it always will be. And so now on this live, we can now gauge here. So ideally, if Bitcoin, let me just be more professional here. We're professional in ETA. If Bitcoin can just hold above this low, there's still actually hopium that this can be another higher low. And Bitcoin's higher lows are kind of dirty. They've been kind of dirty. Visually, you can see that, right? It's like, okay, we want this to hold. Slightly concerning. We have lower highs here, so it's making that idea weaker. But, we want that to hold. So now, if you were trying to long, I do believe, right, the Academy long, or not the Academy long, my apologies, the Discord long is still activated, actually. I'm not in it. I could take it, actually, right now. Maybe I will take that, actually. Maybe we should take that live.
I'm sorry. What are you taking?
It's right here. So like the idea is this. I posted this yesterday. It's just a long and it's just based on trend. It's very simple. So the idea is 86.6 now is the entry. And that's based on what? Well, that's based on trend. So like the invalidation is 86.3. Now that we've had this major move down, we're testing the SMA 200. The first test, since we broke above it, I'm going to punt along here and play the Discord trigger. So I'll go here. I'll go here. Why am I doing this? Simply only because it's playing trend and the invalidation's dirty cheap right now. It's cheap. I can play it like
it's a very good bet. Yes, sir. I like these.
So I'll just market buy. I'll do that and do this. I don't care about profit right now. I'll just risk 86.3. Got to be quick. Okay, cool. And then let's just say we go to 90,000 real quick just to see my RR. Sweet, beautiful. Good RR. I'm all open it. Cool.
Listen.
So I'm long per the Discord long. I'm perfectly fine getting my stop ran if that does occur. Let me just see. Triggered. And this is it, right? And we're just playing trend. And if we're wrong, we don't lose anything because it's like $300 from our entry right now. So you now have literally no risk, but you got to play the trend. Now, this could easily take our stop, and that's perfectly fine. If it does, then I'm going to be watching that trend shift. It's going to then make me wonder if the 8 hour is going to then lose the EMA 100, like what we're doing. But until then, it's still closing in an hour and 31 minutes. Bulls easily could get bought up here and then close above it. And this was, just nothing more than kind of like a retest. Let's see what the 6 hour looks like. Okay, cool. 6 hours now trying to bounce off the 21. So it makes sense to me. I mean, that is logical to me. And it just plays the trend. And we're wrong. And we easily could like take this low because it's just like an obvious long and then go up. But for me, when you start taking out the last higher lows, generally that is what leads to like bigger moves down Bitcoin. So we're in that. That's kind of what I have. That is my idea. We're going to be watching the daily closely on Bitcoin. It's looking slightly toppy right now, but it's still a very long day. If the daily starts losing the median, the 8 hour, I'll say it again, if the 8 hour starts losing the EMA 100 and the EMA 9, I will then have to switch my bias and really start looking at this zone being resistance and possibly for an easy short. Until that occurs, though, the trend is still up on the lower time frames. This could be another aggressive higher low while everyone apes into shorts right now, right into New York Open. I am now long per my trigger right here. I just current priced market opened it. Why? Because I'm perfectly fine risking like $200 to make $2,000. That is beautiful RR if you ask anyone, and it's like, yeah, it's almost like not real. Before I get off and give it to Fawn, let's look at tether dominance because I believe on the daily we wanted the 34 to get reclaimed. So let's see. Okay, cool. So the 34 did get reclaimed. Again, slightly concerning for the idea that Bitcoin very easily could start rejecting where we're currently at, which again will be the daily EMA, or no, weekly EMA 21 rejection, where we want the weekly 9. And that's just based on the 34. If I throw the LGBTQ chart off and we view the 34 on tether dominance has been very big and important. big and important. It's funny. You know, it's like a it's like a bottoming place for tether dominance, and that's like even on like the most aggressive dumps down, where we've rejected and just like come all the way down. Generally, we like to find some kind of reaction at that EMA 34. Even here, where tether dominance had a very harsh rejection, Bitcoin then went up very big. We dumped almost 18%. What we see is still the 34 actually held. And at that point, we busted up. And so what do we have now? Well, we have 34 holding one, two closures. Now we're expanding on the third one. Now, we very well could reject the median here, but what we see is just like Bitcoin being above it. No, under it. Tether dominance is above it. But the hopium is that we easily could reject the 21 at 5.2%. This is going to be very important, though, for our bias, because if, right, tether dominance starts holding the 34, reclaiming the median, Bitcoin starts rejecting the 21, losing the daily median, and also losing that 8-hour EMA 100 and 9, okay, now we potentially have some tradable things here, which are kind of giving me confluence with daily BBWP reset. Let's check tether dominance. Oh, look at that. That's also reset as well. Technically speaking, that median gets reclaimed. That would pop us all the way back above 5.31%. That would be a range reclaim of the 5.23%. We understand 5.23% is very important, just shown here. Got above there, broke out. So what we can then use is, okay, cool. If the daily starts reclaiming the median here, specifically the 9, and Bitcoin on the lower time frame starts really losing the EMA 100 on the 8-hour and also losing the daily median, this then could give us a possible short trigger and a reason to say, okay, maybe we don't actually go up to this zone. Maybe we just start rejecting here. And this just is another trap. Would it be the most absurd to SFP the zone, dump down, come up, reject? No, it's Bitcoin we're talking about. It's dirty. It loves the dirty dance. And in my opinion, this is easy. This is like the most obvious short you could ever give me, because if we even just view it on the weekly, I mean, here we have possibly, right? This is the Binance chart. We're possibly already front running that 38.2%. If we go and view the index, it's different, right? The index is like, no, we definitely could go up to 90s and then reject here, which is right around the daily EMA 100. Do you see how it's not so cutthroat? Like we very well could reject here. Very well could. So we'll have to see. In my opinion, it'll really will be dictated on the daily. We can start on the 8 hours, so we'll gauge that closely. And I really think that'll pay us well if we can really just like gauge the lower time frames, but not too low, not like the hourly, but like the 8-hour and up, maybe the 6 and up, gauge that to see how the daily might shift. By then using the daily, we then can see if we can get pre-positioned to possibly front run this short. Now, we do have to front run the short, invalidation still will be the same. We just have to use lower risk. And if we are wrong, I'll just add to it. But until then, yeah, we just have to be very cautious here. I mean, even if I like draw this out and we go here and we go to like the 12-hour, we're still kind of in this range and we're possibly deviating it now. So we know that deviations, right? Like look at this candle, popped back into it, rejected, broke down. Popped back into it, deviation, rejected it, broke down. Popped back into it, rejected, broke down. Do you see my like reasoning on we might get a short trigger here potentially? It just will be dependent on the daily, which is in 9 hours. So watch very closely. I'll be updating this closely. I'll be, you know, as I always do, obsessively just posting on the Discord because I don't have anything else to do but work. But you know that's the beauty of that, because we can make money. Watch the lower time frame trend on Bitcoin. We know we're wrong. And yeah, I mean, we'll have to gauge and see if daily EMA 34 on tether dominance holds, reclaims the median while Bitcoin loses the median. Will be concerning. Now I'll quickly look at Bitcoin dominance here, wherever that is. Here it is. Yeah, GG. I mean, let's see. Let me go to the 2-day. I like the 2-day for this. Yeah, so possibly price divergence here. Bitcoin dominance easily could go up now, especially with volatility reset, we easily could like extend this out. Now we have a little meme range. Could easily do this. No, it's not made out more. On the daily, I could, but the 2-day is interesting. To me, it's looking like bulls are putting in structure as long as we don't take out March 22nd's low. We ideally want to see that 2-day EMA 9 get reclaimed. If it can, that'll be your trigger for higher. What you'll see is the fast moving average is now above all of the slower ones, just showing you how bullish this is. And it's wise to gauge the 2-day 9. That's kind of where the chop lies, but also where moves like to go. Where we like to get our moves up and down, right? Lose the 9, reject it, down. Reclaim the 9, hold it up. Make it very simple. If the 2-day 9 can get reclaimed, this will really start looking like a next higher low for me. And then we have to gauge possibly, right, this high getting taken out for a move all the way up. And at that point, you're breaking all-time highs. Not all-time highs, but just all-time highs within that range. Confluence, the 2-day 9 being an important spot is the 2-day median, most likely shifts more down. And then ideally at that point, we see that 2-day median and the 2-day 9 get reclaimed. And then, right, volatility is telling us, no, we're going to get a move here soon. We haven't had a 2-day BBWP reset since 2024, which was right around the Hamas setup here in October, which I think we all know what occurred there. So, but I'm not interpreting that as, oh my gosh, Bitcoin dominance is looking the same way it looked before Bitcoin broke out. No, we can easily see Bitcoin break down and Bitcoin dominance go up, similar to what we've been seeing, which again just means that your alts are going to absolutely 100% without a doubt die, and some will never recover. So on that note, I'll just hand it over to Farhan. I think I dissected that pretty well. And also what we see is just to kind of, before I give it to Farhan, I'll might drop it by saying Dixie is actually playing out on par with Farhan's plan. We went down to the low 103s. I was hopeful we were going to hold this zone at 104s. Did not. It's now forming a nice bottom here. We were, understanding we could go to that low. Why? Because of the monthly 34. We throw the LARP lines away. What you see is this is still in a monthly uptrend. Now, again, daily can be down, weekly can even be down. Monthly is what I'm looking at, though, because monthly uptrends on Dixie generally has led to bear markets. I mean, here, this was a monthly uptrend, right? Let me show that. So boom, boom, boom. Okay, when did this shift to an uptrend? It was really not until we took out here. Really here is when it shifted into an uptrend, came down, formed a higher low at the monthly 9, and after that higher low, we just aggressively went up. This was the destruction of the euro, and that's why I'm still very bearish on the euro. But Dixie now, right, we took out the last lower high, came up, higher high. Everyone's bullish on Dixie. We came down, didn't give us the easy long. We didn't hold the 106 region. Came all the way to the 34. Let's check the rainbow chart. Perfect. We're even holding above the breakout zone. So let me make sure this is right. Broke out, came all the way down. Now we're getting confluence that this is a retest of the breakout zone. That's very bullish to me as long as we hold above it. Why? Because, last occurrence of that was, here when the weekly trend, like I showed, shifted, right? Lower high and didn't break the last, oh no, it did, yeah. Right here, lower high, came up, broke the last lower high. So now we're in an uptrend, formed a higher low, came up. At this point, we then broke out from 38.2%, came down, tested it. Currently, what we're doing now, formed a higher low, right? And then from that point, you literally had 1, 2, 3, 4 months of just up only on Dixie. So now what we have is broke the last lower high, came out. Now we're retesting the breakout zone. And if this is going to be right, we should see like multiple months of green on Dixie next, which would correlate to euro going down, risk on going down, and Dixie going up. As long as, essentially, in my opinion, as long as the monthly closes above 101.60, I'm just going to be looking at this as a higher low. So we easily could go down, but let's see if it makes it easy for us and we hold above the 34. Now, I haven't looked at the quarterly in a while on Dixie. You know, and I think the quarterly even kind of puts it in a better perspective of this being a higher low. And that is this. What do we see here? Well, we see lots of lines. That's just the unfortunate part of the meme lines on the higher time frame. But what we see is a loss of the quarterly 9. The 21 held. Beautiful. We would be gauging that. 21 likes to hold. It's a big zone. Nice bottom at the 21. This point, in my opinion, this is when things shifted totally for Dixie. Because what we saw is into the next 3 months, we saw only green dildo up. Here's where things totally shifted because we now have a trend shift, right? We were in a questionable downtrend on Dixie, which was here. Lower high. Great. More meme lines. Lower high. Lower high. So here's where we broke out this lower high, and even if you counted this one as it, there's no hopium now of this being in a downtrend on the quarterly. So, right, with a higher high, it made sense to then get a higher low. Now, generally, for these higher time frames, like a quarterly, let me say, generally, you form higher lows on the 9. I'll use this example. Higher low, front ran the 9. Higher low, front ran the 9. Higher low, front ran the 9. Okay. Down, higher low, went up. Higher low, went up. Okay. Higher low, went up. Interesting. 9, right? All these were at the 9. Higher low, went up, went at the 9. So what do we have now? Well, we have a fresh trend shift on Dixie. We see that the quarterly is still holding above the 9. This is just giving me more confidence that, yeah, the monthly is probably grinding out a higher low within January, February, March, April, May. We probably, within April and May, we probably do see Dixie start going up. Just in my opinion, we do see that volatility on the quarterly is now fully reset. Last occurrence was in the bear market. So, you know, maybe it's not our timing. Maybe we were just a little too quick to this. Maybe the bear market's just brewing, and within the next 3 months, it's going to be here, slapping us in the face. Maybe. Per the Dixie, that is what it's telling me. I mean, this quarterly was just the higher low. It was aggressive, lots of chop in the markets, lots of like fuckery for longs and shorts. Once this is grinded out and the higher low is set, generally speaking, you just kind of see up. I mean, you just see up. So volatility is confirming that. So just want to be kind of cautious here. Currently where we're at, 21 on the 2-month even bounced beautifully on 2-month bounced beautifully on the 21. I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's it. GG Bulls.
Beautiful.
All righty. Can you please send me your? There you go. Excellent. Let's give it 39 minutes. This fucking, and by the way, something new. They just updated on StreamYard. So, you know, this is not going to be smooth. Just like my bowel movements.
Like the one I had this morning. Hurt real bad.
Not smooth at all, boys.
No. Let us start with which one will fit my bias the most. This one does because it says down. So let's start with this one. So this is going to be the monthly right now, where we, as last time we mentioned, have several rejections of that monthly median. And whenever you reject that median, probability is a 61.8% chance that you're going to come back down and retest this bottom 38.2%, rather than go anywhere above the median. And right now, the bottom 38.2% sits at about $63,300. Keep that number in the back of your mind. But once, and if you were to notice the previous instances where we hit the bottom 38.2% on the monthly, it was always when.
I'm sorry. Do you have your mic with you?
It's integrated into my headphones. Let me switch into the other. Let me switch to my AirPods. They have a better mic.
It is noticeable. You sound like a truck driver.
Yeah.
Let me switch. 1 sec, fellas. Turn these headphones off. Turn the other ones on.
This is elevator music for everyone.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Better?
Yeah.
Nice. I switched to my AirPods.
So you were saying, what number do we need to remember and why?
63,300. Because
Got it.
whenever you continue to reject this median, you have a 61.8% chance of hitting that bottom 38.2%. And if you were to notice on the every time we tested that 38.2%, it was after we had solidly lost this 9 EMA. So we tested it this time around, we had support, and then we went straight through the 9 EMA like butter and went down to the bottom 38.2%. So as of right now, we are still holding this 9 EMA, which is a little bit of hopium. But it doesn't really mean anything until you've closed a monthly over that median, which is $93,660. So as of right now, what I'm looking for is somewhat of a bounce, which we are getting right now. We've bounced quite a bit from that 84,000 area. And I'm looking for it to go to somewhere around maybe 90 to $91,000, end up projecting from there, and then go down to this bottom 38.2% at around 63,300. Same thing happened here, same thing happened here, and basically same thing happened here. Every single time it's happened at the same time, it's the same way, so we can't really expect anything different. As of right now, momentum is trying to shift back up. It's just barely getting back over that moving average, but it has not confirmed yet. We have 5 days and 10 hours left to go for that to confirm. And as of right now, volatility is contracting. It's dropped back below the moving average. So whatever bounce we get should be seen as corrective. But the one possibility, however, is that if you were to look whenever we flip last time our momentum flipped back over the moving average and we confirmed it, it was right over here. And then we got another test of that median. And we moved up how much? It was quite a decent move after we got back over the moving average. It's right here. That was about 62% to the upside. Pretty insane. We hit new all-time highs. I don't think we're going to move 62% up from here. I feel like we're going to continue to reject that median, and this is probably going to flip down. However, I could be wrong, and just for fun's sake, just for funsies, let's apply 60% from here. Takes us to about $138,000. Very interesting. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Let's just go quarterly. And on the quarterly, we have, for the first time in this entire bull market, the monthly momentum has dropped below the moving average. This did not happen literally since January, October of 2022. Never once did we flip freshly below the moving average on momentum until now. The last time that we freshly flipped the quarterly momentum below the moving average, that was right here in about October to January of 2021. And you guys remember what happened back then. That was a 61% dumperoonie. Very interesting. If let's just take a 61% dumperoonie from here. That's real low. And just about $42,000. Keep that number in the back of your mind as well, because it's going to come up again. We're on the 2-week. We're trying to get a momentum to flip back up, getting back out of the bearish control zone, still below the moving average, and volatility is very close to getting into a corrective posturing, lining up with the idea of the short-term bounce. And we do have a pretty epic dual sell signal where the pink is just about to cross below the yellow, and the dark blue is about to lose the bullish control zone with the God mode sell signal in the background. This is likely going to confirm pink below yellow in this next 4 days and 10 hours. Very, very, very likely that's going to confirm. And let's see, with the vertical line, last time we had the pink cross, or every time we had a pink cross below the yellow on the 2-week. Right there. And especially from this high up. Oh, very similar. We had a God mode signal right here too. Do you guys remember what was in June of 2021 or spring, summer of 2021?
Well,
Before
the
50% dump. That was when
dumb piece.
Tesla stopped accepting Bitcoin.
Those motherfuckers. Well, hopefully
Awesome.
Kathy Wood will come out soon and tell us that Bitcoin's going to go to $99 quadrillion per Bitcoin soon. Because I need
And then
those estimates.
And then all Bitcoin people started hating Elon and started chanting, "Fuck Elon! Fuck Elon!"
Yeah, like I gotta say, I used to. Well, I still like Max Kaiser. I don't care what people think. It's just really stupid. He had a shirt that was like "fuck Elon" and then "fuck Trump," and now he's all like, Trump, Elon, come to El Salvador." Blah 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up with your 2
I
miles
bet,
2 mile
I bet,
square
I
place.
bet Elon still remembers.
Yeah, I don't know if very successful people really care. I think the most successful people in the world are what I used to call cocksuckers, which
I
is
think Elon's kind
yeah,
of petty. I feel like
legit.
Elon's kind of petty.
Well, yeah, which by the way would be cool. That's more my speed. I just can't like. I'll give you a dumb example. I see a lot of my internet friends, if you will, that have tons of followers, like the most successful ones. They will screw over all of their other friends that have less followers but a big amount. Like fuck them over hard, right in front of everyone. Like they'll basically fuck their mother right in front of them too while they're at it. And the other guys are like, well, I gotta be nice to him because he's got more followers and he's still sending me the likes. So thank you for fucking my mother in front of me. And I honestly, I'm jealous of that attitude because I wish I could. I wish I could. I wish I could be a cocksucker. I
Nah,
I
I couldn't do
legitimately
that.
mean it. It's
I
really
couldn't do it.
incredible how those people thrive just by not having any pride or I don't know. And again, I'm not saying I'm better than them. I'm jealous of them. I'm jealous.
Yep, same exact shoes. I ended up burning bridges with that one dude that I hate because I just eventually started to throw his shit back at him.
He messaged me on he went on after me on Instagram and I was like I sent him a voicemail voice note. I was like, wait, you're that faggy kid that hates Farhan and he's just like jealous, aren't you? And he
Oh
took
my
forever to
god!
reply. And while he was replying that he didn't know what to write, I was like, let me guess what you're writing right now. I'm fucking retarded. I don't know what to say.
Oh my
And he
god!
eventually sent me a
That makes
voice
my
note.
fucking month.
And
That
he
makes my
eventually
fucking month.
sent me a voice note. So all of his anonymous fucking account. Like he's an idiot, dude. This is fun.
No
But
way.
yeah. I don't know. I
That
don't know
makes
why we're
my
saying this.
fucking month. That makes
Oh,
my
because
fucking month.
So funny.
yeah, because I don't think Elon is like that. I think Elon can play within that. Like it's like Trump. No, like he's got Chuck Schumer or whatever his name is, who's a piece of shit, and he's always like hugging him behind cameras and whatnot. Like, come on, all those people, dude, they know what they're doing. They know how to do it. I need to learn that. I need to learn that
I
skill.
wish I could do that.
I know, me too.
So this time around, we had a 77.5% dump to the downside. Quite epic. It's gonna take me a minute to stop grinning from hearing that information.
Dude, he got owned. Owned.
Our
19,
cord longs green again. Just gonna put that out.
19.69% to the downside. That's a very nice number. I quite enjoy that number. 56.53% to the downside. So as of this moment, how much have we flipped down? We haven't we technically really confirmed it yet, but very, very, very likely in this next 4 days and 10 hours, this will confirm. And as of this moment, it's only 6.68% to the downside. Let's take it 19% to the downside, 20%. Brings us to about $69,000. It's also a very nice number. And then we will shift it down to the weekly. Weekly right now is getting momentum after, getting momentum above the moving average, getting out of the bearish control zone, while volatility officially starts contracting below the moving average, telling you this is likely going to be a corrective bounce. And right now, the jewel is on the weekly is already giving you what we're looking for to happen in the 2 week, with the pink crossing below the yellow and the dark blue losing the bullish control zone. That's usually quite a significant move. And this bounce, very, very high possibility. I mean, not high possibility. There's a possibility that it could have played out right now. The way to confirm that the bounce is played out and we're not going to go any higher, for me, is going to be to get a weekly close below $85,500. If that happens, then okay, then I'm going to switch posturing into we're probably going to dump from here instead of getting that bounce. But as of right now, I am still looking for a little bit higher towards that 38.2%, right around 90,600 to like 91,100. That area, very high probability is going to be a rejection, and that is right now a short on the academy that we have given out. Entry is around 89.5 towards like 90s. And then your TP is going to be TP1 around like 75 to 70, $75,000. And then TP2 is right around 63,500. But I'm going to front run that a little bit and put it at 65K. Even that is quite a significant move. That from here is to TP1 of 75,000. It's about 16 to 17%. CP2, even front running it is like a 27, 28% move. Pretty good. Maybe if I can catch one of these moves, I'll stop being a disappointment to my parents.
Don't
On the
get too
5
ahead of yourself, sir. Don't get too ahead of yourself.
On the 5 day, we started flipping momentum back up as well, getting out of the bearish control zone with volatility not fully recently, but approaching a full reset, getting somewhere around here is where we're gonna be looking for it to expand. And the jewel is now losing the sell signal as well within the bearish control zone, flipping to a neutral signal. This is also quite significant. Let's mark this with the vertical line, flipping to a neutral signal within the bearish control zone. At the very least, we will get decent bounces from this. Oops. That should be enough. Price was much lower. $87% to the upside. That's a lot. No, I've never caught an 87% move in my life.
That would be incredible.
179.63%. Hey, if we were able to catch an 87% move, our women might let us actually sleep on the bed.
Again, don't get too ahead of yourself.
179%.
We're not that pre-rich yet, Farin. Come on.
Immediately about 9.45%. Then you got a little dumpski. Then you went up 69%. Quite a nice number as well. So as at this moment, we are up about 6%. If you were to take the minimum move about 9%, brings us right to around $91,000. What do you know? And then, hold on, let me clear my screen off a little bit. I got some bias all over it. On the 2 day, we're also getting momentum to the upside, like the 5 day, getting pretty high, getting close to the bullish control zone, while volatility is actually getting close to expanding. It's still technically in a contraction phase, and it could just give us one of these moves where it just rejects the moving average and flips back down. But right now, as long as price is going up, I am gonna assume that volatility is gonna be contracted. And the jewel is giving us a buy signal right now on the 2 day and getting out of the bearish control zone. If right now, what would tell me that we're probably not going to bounce anymore is if we get a 2 day close below this 100 EMA at the same $85,600 level. And then at that point, I'm going to be targeting $75,000 pretty immediately, somewhere around 74 to 8. But if we get any type of close over this $88,400 number, then I would expect to move into $90,000 to $91,000. Right now, my bias is still that that's probably going to happen. And that's my bias because I want to get filled.
Oh,
On the
boy.
daily, we have momentum flipping down below the moving average, while volatility is still contracting at this point. So it should be looked at as a corrective move to the downside, where we could see this move anywhere down to somewhere around 85,500. We just don't want to see a daily close below that 85,500 level. We could see it down to 85.4. We just don't want to 85.4. We just don't want to see it close below 85.5, somewhere around this zone on a daily. We want to see us come around here, bounce aggressively, and then go towards somewhere around 90 to 91,000. That's what this is going to be. IMO the bear trap, and then that's going to be the bull trap, and then we probably dump pretty heavily and play out that monthly bearish divergence, which everyone keeps seeming to forget is still here. On the 4 hour, we're also getting just like the daily momentum flipping down while volatility flips down. Should be looked as a corrective for now, as long as we're above that same number of 85,500 on a daily closing basis. Right now, the 4 hour is bouncing off of the bottom 38.2%, which is exactly where we found our last significant bottom and then a significant bottom below there. So as of right now, we should assume the trend is going to stay as it is, and unless proven otherwise. Which right now, this like that Academy long we gave, this would be a good zone to get into along with pretty small risk because you would have this as your stop loss. You could probably up the leverage here too. Like me using a Tranquilo 30X. Although I did get liquidated on my 75X, but it was a very small long. My stop loss on that trade was liquidation.
We've all been there many times this month.
Oh yeah.
In the liquidation zone. I'm gonna make a restaurant called the liquidation zone. Sounds about
Liquid
right.
Asian. Always there's Chinese and Korean and Japanese people jizz. Liquid Asian.
Liquidation.
Get your liquidation out. On the monthly, so what I just mentioned, what everybody keeps seeming to be forgetting, we still have active monthly bearish divergence as long as we're closing below $102,769. Very nice number. The last time we had monthly bearish divergence, we did get a nice little bounce, but it just ended up failing and we went to $15,000 from there. Time before there, we got hidden bearish divergence. Price was at about $9,500. We went from there to about $3,800, about 60% to the downside. Every single time we had bearish divergence, every single time we had at very least a 50% dump, if not more. And if we were to take 50% off from this point here, brings us to about $53,000, $54,000. If we were to take a 60% like we did in the last cycle, brings us to about $43,000, very close to that 42,000 number. Very nice. Well, monthly gives us, well, we're going to get to this volatility setup on the momentum chart. 2-week out also has 3 drives of bearish divergence confirmed as long as you're closing below $99,520. And if you get any tick below 76,702, probably going to dump towards that 55 EMA at, what do you know, $63,000. Very nice. Weekly right now has confirmed hidden bullish divergence as long as you're closing above 76,702, which would give you that 2-week hidden bearish, regular bearish divergence to continue. And as of right now, we should continue to see a pump to the upside as long as we're closing below above 76,702. And right now, I would expect that to take us somewhere around that $90,000 to $91,000 zone. See if it lines up with any of our RSI targets. It does not. 5-day still has active bearish divergence as long as you're closing below 95,150. Any tick below 76,700, and you're probably going to dump to this 100 at about $71,000, $72,000, which is that first bounce zone. 2-day has active bullish divergence as long as you're above 76,702. Get any type of close over 88,800, and you're likely going to get that move into $90,000 to $91,000. And 2-day has that bullish divergence off of volatility close to expanding from that 15% area. Daily has 3 drives of bullish divergence confirmed as long as you're above 76,702. Getting any close over 88,800 takes you up to about $90,000 to $91,000. And right now, daily is very close to getting a volatility setup, dancing right around that 15% area. But notice one thing, some ring information. Zoom in on the RSI. Come on. We're getting higher RSI readings than all of these zones here. Let's mark with a vertical line this area here where we're getting a higher reading than on the RSI. Look at price. Price is significantly higher. It's around $99,000 to $100,000. That gives us possible hidden bearish divergence. And the way to confirm that is going to be to close below on a daily below $86,350. Last time we had hidden bearish divergence on the daily was right over here. And we lost how much of a percentage from this lower high? Not much, actually, only about 4%. Pretty interesting. So if we were to take 4% from this area.
But you didn't have a volatility setup either.
That brings us to about $85,000. And if 85,100, and that would take us below that 85,500 number for the breakdown, and then we likely break down towards somewhere around $75,000. Very interesting. Come on. 4 hours now about to put in a fresh drive of bearish divergence. This will probably be that situation where we come down, test that 85 to 85,500 number, and then bulls are going to absolutely have to step in there, or it's probably over. And right now, that bearish divergence will confirm if we close below about use this number, $87,112, dancing right around that number right now. Ding.
Kapling!
Reconnect. All right. Monthly, like I mentioned before, we have that volatility set up where volatility is dropping below 15%, and it can only stay there for so long. It's programmed to expand once you get this low. And the last couple of times that it's expanded, the last time we expanded, it was not similar to this situation now. And I'll tell you in a second why it wasn't. But the last time we expanded massively to the upside. Time before that, we expanded massively to the downside right before the Luna collapse. And the similarities we have now to then is we have monthly bearish divergence on the stochastic and the RSI like we did back then. So it's giving us a shockingly similar setup to that Luna collapse. Very interesting. And momentum is down below $102,000. 2 week is also very close to giving us that volatility setup, volatility at 15%. 2 week is many drives of bearish divergence, just like the Luna collapse, and we're down below 102,500. Weekly volatility setup, bearish divergence on the weekly, derp of death, and pointed down below $90,300. Very, very interesting number because it lines up with my bias of what we're going to bounce towards. 5 day is also giving us a volatility setup. However, 5 day has flipped up. So now actually the 5 day setup was my bad. 5 day setup was invalidated after we flipped up. And now we're looking for a fresh 5 day setup to approach. And we will not have a setup until volatility dropped below 15% again. But right now, 5 day is pointed up as long as we're above 83,200. 2 days also pointed up with volatility contraction as long as we're above 82,800. And we're about to get into the bullish control zone as well. Daily is getting volatility contraction with momentum pointed up above 85,750. And now 4 hour is starting to flip down. And let me zoom in a little bit. Is that a higher high? What high is this? No, it's not a higher high, so there's no divergence. Right now, 4 hours very close to getting volatility expansion. Right now, it is still technically contracting, so we should be looking at it as a higher low until volatility starts expanding. Right now, volatility momentum is down as long as we're below $88,400. Go a little bit lower. And now 2 hours already gotten that volatility expansion with momentum to the downside and a derp of death, pointed down below 87,600. Even the daily hourly is getting volatility expansion now with momentum pointed down below 88,050. Really puts into question my thoughts of that $90,000 area. So right now, all of the high time frames on Bitcoin are starting to align, and they're giving us signals that we have not seen since the Luna collapse, where we had pretty significant dump. We're getting monthly bearish divergence on the stochastic as well as the RSI with the monthly volatility setup approaching. We're getting 2 week volatility setup approaching with many drives of bearish divergence, just like we had on the Luna collapse. The only slightly bullish factor right now is on the lower time frames, like the 2 day and the daily are flipping up on momentum with volatility contraction. So it is possible we can tap somewhere around that 38.2% on around $90,600 to 91,100. Very, very high probability that's going to be a rejection, and then we're probably going to dump from there to somewhere around 75 or for a little bit of a bounce, and then maybe towards around 63,300 for that monthly 38.2%. The invalidation for that bounce to $90,000 is going to be if we get a daily close below 85,500. If we get that, then we're probably just going to go to 75 right away, and we're probably going to collapse from there. And invalidation for the overall bearish bias is if we get a weekly close over $93,000. If that happens, then we're probably going to go to new all-time highs. My bias is heavily in favor of that not happening.
Very nice, sir. Thank you so much. That makes total sense. Okay, so we're going to do Tesla afterwards and then Rivian.
Alrighty.
Tesla Rivian. All righty.
I will
Vale.
do Tesla.
Thank you, sir. Perfecto. Ok, estamos viendo Bitcoin. He cambiado mis líneas de color. Todo es amarillo. ¿Por qué no? ¿Por qué no? Para que parezca un semáforo perfectamente mal diseñado por el tío Salo. Me veo algo rápido en la de 6 meses. Algo que me da mucha curiosidad, brother. Espérame. Ok. Gracias. Voy a la de 3 meses. Ahora sí, vamos a empezar con esto. Obviamente, continuamos con un poco de lo mismo. Hemos visto estas temporalidades altas, trimestral, cada una de estas velas son 3 meses y continuamos nuestra tendencia altos más altos, bajos más altos, lo que es alcista, estamos por encima del promedio del 9, del 21 y es crítico estar por encima del 5 para continuar alcistas, que está en 74,223. Una vez que pierdas esto en la trimestral, 74,000, muy, muy malas noticias para todos y todas, damas y caballeros. Voy a ponerles también el HPDR para que lo puedan ver. Ahora, no, se están muriendo mis audífonos, que hijos de puta, ok. Vemos que también venimos de la volatilidad más baja que ha visto esta tabla trimestral y estamos aún expandiendo en el 53,66%, pero esa expansión al continúa con esta vela roja. Recuerden que volatilidad puede continuar expansión y empujar el precio en la dirección contraria también, y eso es lo que está ocurriendo más o menos por acá. Más allá de eso, podemos ver que nos está rechazando la media en la trimestral, y ese rechazo de la media, literalmente tenemos 5 días y 9 horas, bola de caones, para que podamos llegar a los 101,118 dólares. De no poder hacerlo así y ser un rechazo oficial, siguiente objetivo deberían de ser el 9, los 62,562, y de no poder aguantar, serían los 54,000. Potente. Más allá de eso, vamos a la mensual, donde tenemos una divergencia bajista en el RSI, también tenemos una divergencia bajista en el estocástico, y al mismo tiempo estamos viendo justamente cómo estamos apenas aguantando en la mensual ¿cómo se llama? Nuestra media. Nuestra media está en mensual, está en 83,794. De perder, y este es un número que es importante anotar, porque abajo de los 83,800, básicamente esta zona, eso quiere decir que vas a ir mucho más abajo. Así que si queremos aguantar y ser alcistas, tenemos que aguantar por encima de esto y lograr llegar a los 101,000 y cacho antes de que cierre esta vela para poder retomar la media en la de 3 meses, porque si no lo hacemos, vamos a continuar para abajo, más probablemente que no. Además de eso, viendo volatilidad, nos está dando un setup de volatilidad potente que básicamente acompañará la divergencia bajista, acompañaría en todos los lados que les acabo de decir. Y además de eso, el último pompazo que nos dio acá, este fue para arriba, pero este fue para abajo, carnal. Vean. Déjenme quito el arco iris para que lo podamos apreciar. Tenemos una empujada al mercado bajista y tenemos una empujada al mercado alcista. Entonces, si es aleatoria y esta empujada, y esto, por cierto, en la tabla se ve idéntico que cuando fue el colapso de Luna, que venía el colapso de Luna, una vez más, no diciendo que ese va a ser el caso, solamente diciendo a lo que se parece este tipo de setups, es idéntico. También la de 2 semanas la tabla de 2 semanas presenta divergencias bajistas también. Y nos está dando también un cero potente, está ya en el 15% y pronto se va a meter abajo. Vamos a ver exactamente qué nos depara en las 2 semanas, pero se prepara un movimiento bastante agresivo como sea. Recuerden, paciencia es parte de todo esto. Queremos agarrar el movimiento agresivo para arriba o para abajo. Nos da absolutamente igual. Vamos a acompañar el movimiento y hacer dinero en él. Tenemos también acá nuestro promedio del 9 muy importante en los 89,781 y verán por qué. Que es un poco junto con esta línea. Ahora, en la de 2 semanas es clara que hemos estado rompiendo y creando tendencia bajista y es más o menos donde estamos parados todavía. ¿Cómo sabemos eso? Porque habíamos hecho este alto, este mínimo, este alto, este mínimo, este alto y luego rompimos los mínimos más para abajo, mínimos más bajos y aparte altos más bajos. Nos dicen tendencia va para abajo, damas y caballeros, por lo que, y aparte estamos muy cerca de llegar a este triangulito a acabar la película. En este momento estamos justamente en esta zona, rechazados por el promedio del 9, el promedio del 21 y ahora probablemente ranguemos hasta donde está el 34, que de nuevo nos ponen los 83,600 abajo de los 83,800 que estábamos discutiendo y de perder eso vamos a tener un buen camino a los 76,000 dólares. Para poder ser alcistas, lo único que tenemos que hacer es voltear a ver temporalidades más bajas como la diaria, la de 2 días donde hay divergencias alcistas y también poder notar que en esta tabla semanal hemos tenido oficialmente nuestro breakout y de volatilidad, pero no está siendo muy agresivo a la alza. Y esto puede cambiar. Por ahora, esto está apoyando el movimiento a la alza en la semanal. Y hasta ahí hemos tenido qué tipo de movimiento. Recuerden, este tipo de movimiento semanal debería ser de un 30% y hemos visto un máximo de 15%. ¿Será eso ya el fin del movimiento? Vamos a ver, vamos a seguirlo de cerca. 5 días, ¿qué nos cuenta 5 días? 5 días, continuamos con un poco de lo mismo. Esta volatilidad no nos dice absolutamente nada. Rechazo el 34, el 9, ni siquiera llegamos al 21 y eso nos daría un objetivo del 55 para probar después. Por ahora vemos debilidad aquí en el precio con el 9 bajando por debajo del 21. El 9 es el azul, el 21 es el amarillo. Y también simplemente esta resistencia, la línea diagonal meme que viene por acá, no podemos pasarla. Por más que salgamos, estamos simplemente haciendo ese piece por acá, bla, 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 y vámonos para abajo. Vamos a continuar viendo cómo se va a ver esto, pero también quiero poner el HPDR rápidamente para ver. Ok. Uf. Uf. O sea, básicamente tienes que recuperar los $93,000 para ser alcista. Es lo que nos dice el tablero. Ahora, en la diaria tenemos divergencias alcistas, también en la de 2 días, eso es bueno. Tenemos al 9 intentando retomar el 21, estamos siendo rechazados por el 34, nos gustaría poder aguantarlo porque también ahí arriba está la media está en 87,500, no, 87,277. De no poder aguantar esta media, vamos a ir a la parte baja de la zona azul, que son los $85,000, y ese podría ser el principio del movimiento correctivo más para abajo, o de rebotar acá, crear un bajo más alto y dar continuación a la alza. Eso es algo que vamos a ver. También volatilidad está preparando un setup potente en la diaria. Tuvimos esto, salió, nos engañó y luego bajó y está por debajo de su promedio. ¿Y eso qué nos dice? Que muy probablemente vaya a valer queso. No, que valió queso el cero de volatilidad. Ok, vamos a ponerlo algo fácil en todo esto, damas y caballeros, para que no estemos perdidos. Estamos en largo plazo en una tendencia bajista. En todas las temporalidades, menos en la diaria, si lo quieres considerar desde acá, básicamente, estás en un rango alcista, pero eso solamente en la diaria, en la de 2 días. En todo lo demás, continúas. Y ahora, no estás en un rango alcista porque no has podido hacer altos más altos acá en los 92,900. $93,000 sería el nivel que todos queremos tomar para... Espérame, no era eso. Era esta. Ok. Y ahora dejo de dibujar. Estaría de no mames, Alejandro. Felicidades. Ok. ¿Qué tan fácil la tenemos por acá? Bastante. Primer objetivo de donde estamos en este momento sería poder romper los $89,000 a la alza. De ahí, si puedes, una vez que rompas los $89,000 a la alza, serían los $93,000. Si puedes romper los $93,000, esto nos diría que vamos muy probablemente no solo a los 94, pero a retestear los 107, la zona de los 107 y tal vez máximos históricos. Si somos bajistas, lo único que tenemos que llevarnos de corbata es este mínimo en los 83,185. Eso nos diría que esta estructura falló, no es alcista, simplemente fue un rebote y nos daría más continuación a la baja. Así que no está tan difícil entenderle a esto. La primera invalidación que vas a tener por acá arriba van a ser los 85,500 para ir más para abajo. Una vez que pierdas eso, siguiente objetivo los 83. Perder los 83 te va a llevar muy probablemente hasta los 75 y de ahí a los 73. Así que más fácil no se puede poner, damas y caballeros. Ahí lo tienen. Vamos a seguir de cerca al Bitcoin y vamos a seguir tomando diferentes operaciones, porque aunque estemos en tendencia bajista y hemos tenido shorts abiertos desde, digamos, los 99, que es el short más popular que está en nuestro Discord ahorita, de este corto que hicimos por acá, sigue abierto, pero eso no quiere decir que no puedas abrirte unos longs sabrosos, güey. O sea, se puede hacer de todo, operando en diferentes temporalidades, sabiendo que son diferentes los rangos de movimientos en los precios, pero ahí lo tienen. Una vez más, 89 a los alcistas para Bitcoin es el nivel que quieren buscar. Después de los 89, los 93. Después de los 93, tiempo para, ahora sí que para arriba. El siguiente sería este pico acá en los 95 y de ahí te puedes ir hasta arriba. Para los bajistas, sencillo, simplemente tenemos que aguantar este alto más bajo y de ahí romper la tendencia acá, empezando con los 85,500 para abajo. Una vez que te lleves los 85,500 para abajo, te quieres llevar los 83 y de ahí muy probablemente estaremos cantando un nuevo mínimo, porque el mínimo hasta ahora han sido 76,500 y yo creo que de ahí romper esto va a ser brutal para el precio y aquí es donde podemos encontrar una caída más agresiva a la zona de los 62. Recuerden que en la mensual en Bitcoin, muy importante, un mes, vamos a poner esto y el HPDR. En la mensual en Bitcoin tenemos esto. Estamos en, una vez más, ¿por qué tan importante esos 83,800? Es donde está nuestra media. De perder la media, existe una alta probabilidad de buscar estos 62,000. Y ahora, pierdes la media acá, no se va a ver nada bien. Por ahora tienes más probabilidad aguantándola de ir a los 104,800 que para abajo. Pero todavía faltan, igual que la trimestral, 5 días y 9 horas para cerrarla. Y de no cerrar por encima de los 83,800, vas a ir para abajo, tío. Así que ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. All righty, sir. We're ready for some... I guess you're doing Rivian, right, Alex?
Yeah.
You got it already? Yeah.
Yeah, it should be sharing.
Bam, bam, bam.
Alrighty then. Let's take a look. Let me exit out of Discord because it's annoying. All right. Meaning it just beeps, 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 beeps all the time.
All day long.
Yep.
On all right. Devices.
So, we were short on the Academy on Rivian. When I had looked at Rivian, must have been on Monday, like last week. I was talking about being cautious here. The idea on this Rivian short was that, we were going to consistently stay in this downtrend. This was the next lower high. We got the breakdown. We talked about this rallying up and then rejecting, forming another lower high before going to our TP zone. Now, I was cautious, though, because, we weren't really getting that breakdown specifically on this daily close. I talked about we're technically short from I don't even remember what it was. It was higher than the entry. I think it was in the $11.15, $11.20. So at this point, you were still green, I believe, over 2% on the short. I talked about, if the daily starts reclaiming back into this channel, you probably should cancel the short and just cut it for profit, because what it'll look like to me is a nice SFP, possibly a higher low. And at that point, we'd have to be really cautious of this daily 9 getting reclaimed. And I talked about it was holding price down for a while, and the next logical target being the 21. And if we get back above the 21, we basically at that point are probably going to test 100 again. So that scenario worked out. And that's just me looking at this channel saying, well, the last occurrences of an SFP here led to a nice move up, led to a nice move up, nice move up. And so same thing. I just had to be cautious, even though I was short bias. It did dump around 5 or 6%, but didn't give us our TP. Whatever, that's trading. And so now what do we have? Well, we're back into this channel. We see here yesterday put in a very nice candle, a very nice hammerhead right off the backs of the 34. And again, that gave you a free move from the 34 up to the 100. So why I like moving averages in stocks, it's just very boomer. And so it's just more easier, respects it. You reclaim the 34, you get a free move up to the 100. Really fast, very simple. It's like the 21, cool, you go to the 34, you reclaim the 34, you backtest that, you go up to the 100. Very simple. So we got that measured move now. I just need this scenario to occur. So as long as we're above that EMA 100, this scenario that I have drawn here isn't going to play out. In fact, we're now back into a new range. And we easily could find resistance around the daily SMA 200 and the support around the EMA 100, meaning we could just do something like this for a while. And what this will do is this will really solidify this zone being support. right? Because this was major resistance, 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 somewhat of support here before breaking down, resistance, and now we're reclaiming it. So if you're bullish on Rivian, you're ideally looking for consolidation here. But now that I'm gauging daily BBWP, to me, you ideally just want this zone to hold. Above the daily EMA 100 gives you the next target being around the SMA 200 at $12.90. Reclaiming the SMA 200 will be your confirmation that we're going to go up and bust to see $13.79. Seeing possibly BBWP fully play out, we know this can easily go up to the 90%. We've seen that before, and this is very freshly expanding. That was another point too on why I was cautious here. At this point, we had the volatility reset. Let me go here, but as soon as we started to bust up, we started to see, what was it? It was volatility, almost. So like when it started to expand here is when we started to break down, right? And this is when I was really getting excited. It was matching my short buys. We just wanted the retest, a full breakdown at $10. But instead, what we got was a reclaim here. And then during that reclaim, what we started to see was volatility kind of like trap bears, reset, go lower. At this point, we were holding above the 9, making me cautious of the fact that we could go up. And so with daily volatility expanding, yes, we very well could go down, but you can't gauge that until we actually start deviating. $12.28. You start falling under $12.28. That technically will be an easy SFP, like what we see here. And then you would essentially just short this retest down. Your target would be simply the 9. Losing the 9 would be your confirmation that we're probably going to end up going lower. And that's just based on this. Once we got under the 9, we just simply rejected it and went lower. But we're at support now. So you should be gauging bulls to step in here. We got the throwback. We've retested the EMA 100. We just want this zone, which is the EMA 100, to actually hold as support now. It's pretty simple. It's like as long as you're above the EMA 100 on the daily, you're going to have more of a chance of going up to that SMA 200 and possibly reclaiming it. And at that point, it's just level to level. First level being the SMA 200, reclaim above there. Cool. You get the next target being $13.70. Now, $13.70 is a major level for Rivian. We've seen this over and over again. If it does end up going up, reclaiming the SMA 200, getting around that $13.70, you have to be cautious here. Because if we gauge the monthly, we will still see that the monthly is still in a downtrend. Now, it doesn't shift or really start favoring bulls until we reclaim or get back above $14.44. Till then, the monthly is playing out nicely. We made the move up to the monthly 9. We're slightly getting rejected now. We got to watch the zone carefully. See here, the weekly is now rejecting the 34 to the T. This would be the logical place. You would expect bears to kind of start rejecting us, because if we get back above the 34, yeah, I mean, you have really nothing but air until $13.70. So you should be gauging some kind of rejection here. You can be using the daily to gauge that. If the daily starts SFPing that EMA 100, that could be your trigger to possibly short again. And it could be like this. You SFP, you go down, maybe you rally back up. You then need to see that EMA 100 reject. This is where you could take the short, and then it's back on, target the 9. If you lose the 9, you can start targeting back around like $11.20 to $11.08. Until then, we are pressing support. You definitely don't want to front run that. It's like no trigger, no trade. You definitely don't want to be the person shorting support before this inevitably holds and then goes up. But it's definitely something worth watching today. Now let's see the daily HPDR and see if we get any kind of confluence to this idea. Somewhat. I mean, not really. You see here, you're losing the 78.6% on today. Let me look at the 2-day. That probably will make it better. 2-day looks a little nicer. 2-day here is trying to hold the 34. Again, you just want this zone to hold. It's right at $12.20. That's your criteria. If we hold above $12.20, daily's holding above the EMA 100, 2 days holding the 34. 2-day gives you confluence. Next target would be right around the EMA 100, which we haven't tapped. We're just front running it. So you should be gauging some kind of resistance here if we actually do go up to that point. HPDR, you do see we are healthily above the median. Now, we easily could start coming down. If you start losing the 34, next target would be the 50%, which is right around the 21 on the 2-day. So should gauge some kind of bounce there. If the 2-day starts losing the 21, it's going to be a cause of concern to me. That's just simply based on when we do lose the 21 on the 2-day. Generally, we do see downside. Here we lost it, follow through. Here we lost it, follow through. The 2-day losing the EMA 21 would give you confidence to going right back up to the 9, which is right around the 38.2%. Ideally, we hold that. I mean, we fill this gap, hold it, and go up. We start losing the 38.2%. The fact that this median is now so heavily far from price would then be bearish, because then from this point, you would get a measured move up to that median, which then would be questionable because you'd be breaking down. Till then, though, like I said, you're still at support. You definitely don't want to be scaling shorts here. It'd be wiser to just wait for today, wait for the 3-day, get confluence that the 3-day reclaims the EMA 34, daily holds the EMA 100. At that point, you can start formulating possibly low leverage longs around here. As long as we hold above $12.20, you're good to go up to at least $12.80, which again just lines up nicely with the 2-day, right? You hold the 34, you go up to the 100, and that is right at $12.80. Not until you start reclaiming above that $12.80, which is right at that daily SMA 200, where you make that move up to $13.70, which from that point is still a 7% move. So we talked about this. I mean, let me just backtrack and summarize this. We talked about this reclaim happening, and it did. This was making me cautious right here, this reclaim. We then formed a higher low on that dump, so now we have price divergence. We kind of baited shorts, meaning volatility tried to expand, it didn't, it reset, now it's expanding in favor of bulls. As long as you are above $12.20, you have to be gauging this as support. Next target being $12.80, which is major. That's the SMA 200 on any chart, that's major. Why it's more important is because that is sitting right where the EMA 200 is, so it's a big spot. Now, the idea was that we were going to reclaim this, back test it, and go up. We did get that. I was hoping we were going to reject the EMA 100 and go down. That's not true. So until that actually gets deviated, lost, rejected, like proven to you that this is resistance, you have no reason to short this yet.
Can I please invite you to the monthly view and check out the EMA 9 and 5?
Sure. Let me get that off and this off so we can see it, and this, and why not this too? So, the monthly view, like I mentioned, is somewhat of a concern because you would be gauging this monthly 9 to kind of reject here. Bulls have a hard objective because, to flip this trend, you have to, in my opinion, it starts really looking good for bulls, getting above $12.40. Possibly holding above there can then take you all the way up to $16.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the hopium is that this is a nice hammerhead, but it's not turning into much. If you view just the moving averages, if this monthly ends up going back under $12.20, you're now back under resistance. This is going to look like a major SFP. This was a major bearish retest, and nothing actually shifted on the higher time frames, meaning this is just another possibly monthly lower high at the monthly 9. The monthly 5 is interesting here because you do get confluence of that $12.20 being very important, because if at least the bulls can reclaim the monthly 5, we can talk about this being a possible reclaim of support. Now, we don't need to just go up immediately or go down, but if it can just reclaim the monthly 5, we have the monthly 5, we have mean line support, we have this breakdown getting reclaimed, and ideally you just want that zone to hold. But 5 days is still a long time, and the fact that we're already rejecting here, it's not a good sign. So, we can use the daily EMA 100 to help decipher if the monthly is going to close good, in my opinion. If the daily starts losing the EMA 100 on any chart, I don't like to short if we're above it. But if we're below it, I absolutely love to short it. And that worked out nicely here. Shorts under the EMA 100 just worked. Here, lots of chop, kind of invalidates it. And then here, shorts under the EMA 100 worked. So the same criteria, you will be gauging the daily to kind of at least base how the weekly and monthly are going to close. We ideally now need bulls to get a bounce here, which so far they're trying to hold. 4 hours is still a long time. And as soon as this does lose $12.20, it's going to really start looking like it's going to be able to go lower, at least to $12.80, which at that point, you're now under the monthly 5 and under this support line. So the beginning of this analysis, I did talk about the monthly. It's just nothing is worth talking about yet. It's rejecting to the T the monthly 9, which is always funny. It just shows how nice these boomers like the monthly 9. And the bulls can't even hold the monthly 5 while holding the support. What that'll be is the second monthly closure under this support, looking more like a range breakdown. Because if we actually look at this, we see we reclaimed the monthly 5, reclaimed support, formed a disgusting shooting star, follow through, lost support into this month, rallied up, got a bounce off this diagonal, rejected the monthly 5, wicked off and rejected the monthly 9, and now we're back under that $12.20. To me, it's just going to then start looking like this is getting tighter, and possibly into April, maybe May, maybe right? Because if you use this and we go this on a weekly now, or let's just do a 2-week. Now what you see is you're in this range, and if you actually like ignore these lines here, make these white, we make this one green. Oh boy, yeah, green. I'll make this one green. Oh, instead of a 2-week, we'll go to a weekly. Matches my bias better. Actually, a 5-day will be better. You can see big moves when you start breaking out. You get nice moves out, big up. But then it's like, it's been holding for so long. If you do start seeing this reject this zone, fall back below $12.20, come back into here, maybe rallies up. Now what you're doing is you're now in like a channel, like a wedge. And that this will break out and break down. Now it's not the cleanest one, and I obviously could get a cleaner one if I want. You could obviously draw it from like here if I want a bigger one. I understand people are like, that's not true, that's not accurate. But like, I mean, lower time frames, you can just gauge that. We're in this range now, so I'm gonna be gauging that. But I mean, whatever. We drew a bigger range. So how I'm deciphering this though is I do believe the monthly is at the lowest volatility rate ever. Yeah, it is. So I mean, we are going to get some kind of move here soon on Rivian. Bulls, I would like to hope that this will be to the upside, because they'd like to say, well, we can't really go that much lower, can we? But we absolutely can. And this view does nothing more than at least match my bias that, we are going to see some kind of move here soon on Rivian. Now, it's either going to play out. This is either going to play out this little tiny channel or this bigger one, which so far has played out. That still puts you around May to June, July. So April, May, June, July. Next 4 months, you're going to see Rivian either majorly break out or break down. And I'm still going to be on the camp that the monthly trend is going to hold. We're going to make our breakdown, and that's going to take us to the $6 being a very, very big spot for Rivian. $6 has been the spot I've been talking about for months. I do think we easily can go up to like $7.30, bottom around $6.60. From there, get back above here, consolidate for many months before slowly going back up. I personally think that is what's on basically in store for Rivian. And that's just as long as the monthly trend is down, as long as you are rejecting the monthly 9, as long as the Hopium now, I guess, is the monthly median is reclaimed. But even on this move up, we've almost tapped the 38.2%. So this whole setup is almost played out. Not good. So, in summary, we'll have to see where Rivian closes. You're gauging the daily. Above the EMA 100 is good. Under, it's bad. If we can hold the daily EMA 100, hold above $12.20, Rivian can easily make a move up to $12.80. Reclaim that, we might see a breakout then to the $13.70. You start deviating this though. I'll be very, very on the camp that this deviation to this could lead to a nice short. Where I was betting on a breakdown, we can then just bet on the deviation. So we're now shorting at higher. We were able to close your short, at profit when we talked about this chart. And now you can short higher and actually have an easier setup, because what you see here is, from that EMA 100 loss, we kind of front ran it here, So it's a big zone to see this reclaimed. You start losing it again, just like I showed, shorting under that's just played out well. So that's all I have on Rivian. My bias is still $6 within the next year. Possibly within the next 4 months, we're going to see a major move on Rivian. I'm going to delete this line here just because I don't want that on. And I personally am going to stick to this tiny range. We're testing support. Let's pop back into here, go back to the bottom, and possibly see that actual breakdown at $10 now. Yeah, and that's it. And then here, weekly is just another lower high possibly. So the trend is still down. Monthly, weekly, 2-week trend is all down. So daily can be up, but
what makes you say that?
It's characteristic to like go up bigly before breaking down. It always loves to do that, and bulls somewhat have not figured that out yet. So,
yep. No, that was great. Thank you so much, dude. Fucking goddamn it, Rivian. Vamos a empezar. Tenemos Rivian en pantalla, damas y caballeros. Lo tengo en la mensual. La razón por la que lo tengo en la mensual es fácil de ver la tendencia en la que estamos, ¿no? Que simplemente es bajista. Rivian tuvo un máximo, me parece que por ahí de los 180. Está cotizando en 12.35 en este momento. ¿Por qué es importante verlo en la mensual? Porque literalmente te enseña, ¿no? De altos más bajos, bajos más bajos. Ahora, dentro de la última tendencia mensual, el último rango en el que estamos en este momento, pueden ver, debería de actualizar mis rangos, como sea, ahora con el nuevo look que traen, brother. Estos rangos que, bueno, estos altos más bajos que continúan siendo bajos más bajos, acá, desde abril, mayo del 2024, que tocamos este delicioso fondo que compramos, no hemos visto otro fondo, no hemos visto ni siquiera un bajo más bajo que el pasado todavía. Los bajos de octubre fueron por ahí de los 9.58 y ahorita los bajos que tenemos son 10.48. Por lo que esta parte de la acción de precio ha estado dándonos un poco de confusión, porque tenemos la tendencia bajista de arriba para abajo, pero tenemos la tendencia alcista de abajo para arriba, con mínimos más altos. Y la cosa es, ¿a dónde vamos ahora? Esa es la pregunta del millón. ¿Para dónde va Rivian? Puesto sencillo, damas y caballeros, les voy a tirar los promedios instantáneamente y quiero que vean, también voy a poner el promedio del 5, ¿ok? En la mensual, no vamos trimestral, que hay muy pocos datos en Rivian. 1, en la mensual pueden ver muy tranquilamente cómo literalmente estamos siendo rechazados por el promedio del 9, que hemos dicho siempre, si en la mensual estás por debajo del promedio del 9, estás en un mercado bajista. Habíamos ganado el promedio del 9 en diciembre del 2024 con este cierre potente, pero instantáneamente después la perdimos, creando un SFP justamente en esta zona. De ahí, no solamente perdimos el 9, en la siguiente vela perdimos el promedio del 5. Esta es la peor vela de todas, porque además vean lo predatoria que fue, subió hasta 14.44 y luego, y también bajó hasta los 11 y cacho. La cosa es, perdió el promedio del 5 por primera vez desde acá atrás, desde noviembre del 2024. ¿Qué ha pasado cuando perdemos nuestro promedio del 5? Buenas caídas. Yo creo que podemos popularlo desde acá. Perdimos nuestro promedio del 5 en esta vela. ¿Y de dónde lo queremos medir? ¿No? Voy a medir la vela que le siguió, que perdió oficialmente el promedio del 5 y hasta dónde llegó abajo. Un 31% abajo, ¿ok? Vamos a usar esta vela desde acá arriba para algo promedio por ahí. Nos llevaría más abajo de 8.28, que sería nuestro fondo. Pero simplemente es cuestión de ver, vamos a poder cerrar por encima de estos dos promedios o no. ¿Y por qué es importante? Porque si puedes cerrar por encima del 2.63, que es tu promedio del 9, tu siguiente promedio, que es el 21, está casi en los $17. Y eso debería dar un zampompazo brutal a Rivian si fuera posible. Pero por ahora, vamos a poner el HPDR para que lo puedan ver de cerca. ¿Qué es lo que estamos viendo? Estamos básicamente viendo un front run de la parte alta de la zona azul con un rechazo en el 9. Lo único que queda rescatar es que esta línea meme por acá en los $10 está muy cerca de la media y es justamente lo que nos mantiene por encima de ella. Faltan 5 días y 5 horas para cerrar esto. Esto va a cerrar el próximo martes o lunes, no estoy completamente seguro. No, hoy es miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado. Vaya, lunes, martes. Creo que el próximo miércoles va a cerrar esta vela. Estoy seguro que cualquiera de ustedes puede sacar un calendario y ver qué día es. Yo no, yo estoy muy ocupado. Si llegáramos a perder esta zona de los 10.4, siguiente objetivo van a ser tus 7.38. Y ahora, les voy a decir la verdad, no tengo idea de lo que acaba de pasar en mi tabla, pero ahí está. 7.38 sería el siguiente objetivo si es que se llega a dar este movimiento. Y ahora vamos a ver rápido volatilidad. Volatilidad está llegando al punto más bajo de la tabla, lo que nos está dando un setup muy, muy potente. El más potente que había dado antes había sido este en marzo del 2024. Me parece que este fue para abajo, ¿eh? No, fue el pompazo este a la alza. Fue un zampompazo tremendo. Lo que probablemente nos deje con este dándole al otro lado, pero ya veremos cuando el tiempo llegue. Vamos a la de 2 semanas rápidamente. Acuérdense los números. ¿Dónde está el promedio del 5? En los 2.63. Digo, el 9 está en los 12.63 y el 5 en 12.31. Importante aprenderse esos números. En la de 2 semanas tenemos al 9 rechazándonos, al 5 intentando retomar lo que está en los 12.32, muy parecido a los números que tenemos en la mensual, y la media está en los 11.62. 11.62 se me hace ya bastante peligroso. Si perdemos los 11.62 en los próximos días, muy probablemente vayamos a tener este viaje a los 9. Ahora, ¿qué es lo que queremos poder romper acá a la alza? Los $13. Pudiendo romper los $13, que es donde está el promedio del 21, tendrías mínimo un chance de ir a la parte alta de la zona azul y eso te pondría en todos los números verdes hasta en la mensual. ¿Ok? Mínimo por ahora, en la volatilidad, tenemos el setup más bajo de volatilidad que ha visto Rivian en toda la historia. Volatilidad está en 21.41%, pero no está expandiendo. Vamos a mantener un ojo por ahí. Vamos a la semanal. Semanal, tenemos esta expansión de volatilidad y esta expansión de volatilidad parece que está siendo positiva efectivamente en el precio, pero está doblándose, no se ve con mucha fuerza. Vamos a ver cómo se desarrolla esto. Por ahora, continúa empujando. Una vez más, ¿cuál es la parte alta de la zona azul? 12.83. Nos gustaría ver en la semanal poder romper los 2.83, pero antes vamos a tener obstáculos con el 12.44 y los 2.65, nuestros promedios del 34 y el 9. Acá de perder los 11.91 nos va a llevar a los 11.20 y 11.20 va a ser la última llamada. De perder los 11.20 nos vamos a los 9.80 y de 9.80 se da todo para abajo, ¿ok? Para arriba, simplemente quieres cerrar arriba de donde están tus promedios, el promedio del 34, que está en los 12.65, que nos pone en el mismo nivel en la mensual que el promedio del 9, en la de 2 semanas también, básicamente. 5 días. Vamos a ver, volatilidad no está expandiendo, pero básicamente regresando exactamente nada. Y lo mismo, estamos llegando a la parte alta de la zona azul. Eso nos dice que probablemente de darse este rechazo como se está dando, iremos a la media. La media está en 11.23. De llegar a los 11.23, ya saben lo que va a pasar y hasta dónde nos vamos para abajo. Diaria. Un potente rechazo de nuestro promedio. Y ahora, esto es interesante, porque el SMA 200, justo donde está por donde está esta vela de acá. Esta vela de acá es lo que había sido el alto más alto de todo este movimiento. De no poder lograrlo ahí, este sería oficialmente tu siguiente alto más bajo y dar continuación a la baja. Ahora, vean lo sobreextendido que está esto en la diaria. Ya estamos en la zona del 88.3%, cayendo al 78% y siguiente objetivo debería de ser 1, si no aguanta el promedio del 100 en los 12.31, que de nuevo 12.31, 12.32 es donde está el promedio del 5 en la mensual. De ahí, eso te llevaría más para abajo. Siguiente objetivo serían los 12. De no aguantar los 12, estaríamos yendo a la parte alta de la zona azul en 11.47. Eso empieza a sangrar en las otras temporalidades para abajo y sería bajista. ¿Qué es lo que estamos viendo? En resumen, sencillo. Sencillito, tío. Una, pierdes tu promedio del 100, básicamente te quedas bajista y esto probablemente vaya a dar continuación a todos los objetivos que les dimos a la baja, ¿ok? ¿Quieres ser alcista? Simplemente toma el SMI 200, retómalo en los 12.75 y eso empieza a darte objetivos a la alza mucho más altos, incluyendo los 14 y cacho, donde está nuestro promedio del 21 en la mensual. Por ahora tenemos, y es el juego de espera de Rivian, de ver si nos va a dar otro de estos famosos SFPs, y es justamente lo que estamos viendo acá, o no, y ya va a dar continuación a la alza. Por ahora tiene más cara de dar a la baja la continuación que a la alza, pero lo único para quitar nosotros nuestro bias y lo que estamos pensando es sencillo. 12.31, tu promedio del 100, perdido a la baja, se ve mal, ganando el SMI 200 en 12.75 al alza, se ve muy bien. Y ahí lo tienen. Eso es Rivian. Vámonos a Tesla. La compañía más nazi de la historia.
Listo.
Let's Nazi analyze Tesla.
I guess we are now white supremacists. Brown white supremacists.
That's right.
The
We're
best
one of
type
a
of
kind.
white supremacists. All right.
I was going to say that's Bitcoin, sir.
Yep. Tesla. We have already got my little meme lines drawn.
Wow.
Very,
How
very,
professional.
very, right? The most professional. You'll never see meme lines like this on CNBC.
You've never seen meme lines like this. Never, never again. And this is going to be the most beautiful recession. It fucking killed me that he really actually said that.
I think George Bush's recession, it was not very pretty. My recession will be more beautiful. We will have so many unemployed. You've never seen it like this before.
You've never seen people suffer like this before. It'll be amazing. Absolutely stunning.
So as of right now, from on the monthly candle from the wick low to where we are currently up about 27%. Everybody who tried to short Tesla in this area got absolutely fucked. They got the girthiest of green dildos up right up their bunghole. And it makes a lot of sense with how much shit you were hearing on social media about people shitting on Tesla. I mean, the governor of Minnesota, that dude Tampon Tim, said, "Take a look at Tesla stock right now if you want something to feel good." I have it on my home screen on my phone. That was like actually that was like literally the absolute bottom on Tesla before it bounced up 27%. Very funny, very funny. And as of now, we've corrected basically to the 2055 EMA, and we're back over the median. And as long as we're closing over the median, probabilities are higher than not that by this next monthly open or monthly close, as long as we're over the median, that we get at least one test of this 38.2%, which right now is sitting right around $291. And if you know we're over this meme line mid range, so closing over that mid range will give you probabilities of going towards the top range, which right now is sitting at around $415. Momentum is below the moving average right now. It has lost the bullish control zone, but volatility is in a contraction posture, telling you likely going to be a higher low before you continue to the upside. And right now you have closed above this previous lower high, making a higher high. So you would be looking for a higher low at this point. And anything that closes above about $249 would be a higher low. Actually, you could even use the wick low actually if you're a little aggressive, and that'd be at $212. Anything above that is just a higher low. Go to the quarterly. And the same thing on the quarterly. It's getting right around that zone above the mid zone, the mid range, and it's getting close to the 38.2%, which is about $296, very close to $300. If it can close over this area, it's going to be basically for me confirmed that the higher low is in, and we're likely going to go to the next 38.2% at about $510. Right now, momentum is pointed to the downside right at the edge of the bearish control zone. So if it can close over this 38.2%, momentum will reject the bearish control zone, and that takes us into the bullish control zone, giving us a nice move to the upside. Last time we entered into the bullish control zone, we did how much of a percent move? We need to zoom out a little bit. Huh, 793%. That's quite a bit. We don't even want 793%. We just want a cheeky 290%. It's not too bad. Quite tranquilo, actually. But everything has to have an invalidation, and to have that situation happen in reverse is if you get not even a close, but a tick below $217 again, then you're likely going to come down towards this 55 VMA over time, probably good couple of months, maybe a year. And right now, that's at a very scary $100 figure. I don't think that's going to happen, personally. 2 week is starting to try to flip back up on momentum, still in the bearish control zone, still below the moving average, with volatility getting close to contraction. And that lines up with us coming to the 100 EMA, very, very close to the 100% on the HPDR, deep into the 97.5%. Right now, we're getting a bounce off that 100 back over the 97.5% and back over the mid-range. We can close over the 97.5%. That should give us a bounce into this cluster of moving averages up to the 9, around about $316. And if you can solidly regain $300, that's where we can see a higher bounce into somewhere into the high to mid to high 300s. Jewel is close, however, to giving us a sell signal with the pink crossing below the yellow. Has not quite happened yet, but it's pretty close. So we have maybe about on this 3 to 4 closures more max before this happens. To invalidate that from happening, we would want to close back over in this 38.2% above $400. Pretty unlikely, in my opinion, for that to happen.
That would be quite the pumperoo.
Yeah, that'd be a lot. Up to $400 within the next, month? Weekly has already started to flip back up over the moving average on momentum with volatility and contraction phase. And weekly has already given us that sell signal on the jewel with the pink crossing below the yellow and the dark blue and everything else. Let's mark with a vertical line whenever we got the signal. Got it right here. There. Yeah, Tesla's done it quite a few times. Well, that's the data. Now we can zoom in. This time around, we did about 42% to the downside in 2 weeks. Yeah, wow. This one got a little bit of a bounce of 9.7%, then dropped about 10.7. This one's kind of a wash. Down 28% or 27%. This one failure because it went up about 14% before ultimately going down. This one down about 8%, got a bounce, and then down about 38%. Tesla loves to put in these traps. And as of this moment, we are down from close about 35%, very close to that 38% number. So lines up with the possibility of the bottom being in. And if we were to take it 42% like the other time, that would bring us to about $191. Very close to the area where I'm thinking we go to if we lose this $217 low, about 180s to 190s. Five days also flipping back up on momentum with volatility contracting. And we actually tapped the 100% on the 5-day. That's interesting dump on a stock too to go to the 100%. Right now we have a close over this mid-range, and we should be looking for a retest and then a use of that as a spring towards somewhere around this 38.2%, around the mid 300s. Let's see. So there. 2 days also flipping up with volatility contraction. We have currently 2 rejections of the 38.2%. So right now we are getting a retest of the median like we would along with this meme line. And if we can continue to hold this area, then we should see a movement to that 55 EMA around like $314. This retested that silver cross, start to reclaim that area. That takes us into the mid 300s, around like 335 to 360. Oh my God. There we go. Daily is getting a little high on our momentum with our volatility as well, getting somewhere around 86%. And this is a stock, it doesn't really like to go to somewhere. I say, as I say that, I see something going into the 90s. It doesn't, I guess it does. Interesting. So I guess we can go into the 90s. It's all, but even 90 is only 5% away, so it's not that much of a difference. And we're getting to pretty extreme levels on the HPDR. We tapped the 95%. We're getting a rejection off of the 200 SMA right now. Kind of a deviation of the 200. My bias right now is that this meme line does hold on this free test, and we use that to ride into the 100 at around 315. And right now, the jewel is giving us a quite nice daily signal with the pink freshly crossing above the yellow and the light blue getting out of the bearish control zone. Let's mark that with the vertical line. Mm, right there, that should be enough. This one was 14%, quite good. And then let's take the actual full move. 23%, quite nice. This one not as much. Still about 8 to 9%. This one not very much. 9%, same number. And as of now, we only have gone up 1.6%. If we take it that 9% number, brings us to about $310, very close to the 315 area. Make that disappear. 4 hours doing the same thing as the daily, getting to quite extreme areas. But the 4 hours are already getting to the 95% on the volatility and momentum. And we're tapping the 97.5% of the HPDR. So what's likely to happen is that in the most bullish of scenarios, is that we grind out a higher low somewhere around this 5 EMA and this meme line while this HPDR ranges can step up. And then we can get a try for that 200. First, the 100 around 305 to 310. If we can get over there, then that gives us a move to the mid 300s at around 346 to 350. But in the less bullish scenario, we would get a tap of this 21 EMA, this gap fill right here around $250. And if we're so bullish, that area would hold, and then we can get a move from there into 310 to 315. If we start to fail in holding this area, that's what this entire rally is going to get erased, and we're going to make a lower low below 218, probably going to go to 190 to 180 at that point.
That'd be swell. I need more entries.
Inshallah, it happens then.
Tacos. Wait, what?
I might get some today.
Oh, you fucking bastard.
I want the campechano with the chorizo and the bistic. Amazing.
God damn.
I'm gonna have a nice steak today and every day.
Actually, it's a good idea.
Yeah, same.
I might just do that.
Huh?
I need to stop being a fat fuck. I should do that.
And Farin will eat a steak with me. He's not gonna eat tacos. He's just flexing. He's fake flexing.
On the monthly, we have confirmed bearish divergence on the RSI. Oh, this is Bitcoin. I'm a retard. I'm like, just Tesla has it too. Monthly, no, it doesn't. Quarterly is one that has divergence on Tesla, and that's a bullish divergence. We have a hidden bullish divergence confirmed as long as we're closing above around $212.11. And right now, if we can get any tick above about $439.74, let's say $440, that'll give you a target of hitting the bullish control zone, which is not that much higher. Actually, it's only $487. But start to get any higher time frame closes over $487. And as of right now, that takes you to a pretty ridiculous number. I don't think it's going to go to this number. I think this is going to come down after it updates. Right now, it's $3,563.
Kathy Wood enters the chat.
Kathy, Kathy Woods is like no, never mind. I'm not going to say that on
Good.
live.
I'm not going to say that on TV, basically.
Yeah. Quarterly is now flipping back up on the jewel, losing the sell signal and flipping to a buy signal. Last time that this has happened was back over here. Let's mark it with a vertical line
Oh, well, you
and
know when
zoom
that
out.
happened. Yeah.
July of 2020, a beautiful year. Wow, 475% to the upside. Muy loco.
Just a small
And-
move to the upside.
And note this. We are currently about 800% higher than we were back then, but our momentum went lower, giving us quite the hidden bullish divergence. Pretty powerful. I think $1,000 would be pretty easy to hit after that gets confirmed. Which right now, to confirm it, you'd have to close above about $439.74.
God, son of a bitch.
Pretty high.
But the quarterly also closes in fucking 2 days, basically. 5.
Oh shit. Yeah, so it's very unlikely that happens. For this.
God damn it. No, I
Okay,
hope
there
that's
we
the
go.
case. But obviously, I'm just hoping for my own, not bias, for my own pockets.
Inshallah, it happens.
Please.
Just a quick correction to 180 and then just moving from there to $1,000.
Yeah, the next day, as soon as I deposit my money again, Tesla can go to $8 billion per share. I'll be fine with that.
In 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, here's some nice hopium. Right now, the weekly is about to put in a fresh third drive of a hidden bullish divergence. If we get a close above, let's see, man, about $250 or $249.52 to be exact.
Here we go.
And if that gets confirmed, that would give us a target of the bearish control zone, which right now sits at about $337, right along that low to mid $300 area. Biasing all over the screen as we speak. 5-day has already confirmed 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence as long as you're closing above $217. And you should have the target of somewhere around the edge of the bearish control zone, which right now sits at about 346, low to mid 300. Nothing through there. Nothing there. Daily has confirmed currently 1 drive of bullish divergence as long as you're closing above 217, same number as before. And your next target would be somewhere around the bullish control zone, which is at about 310, low to mid 300s. And daily is working off that God mode buy signal, which we still have active, and the pink freshly crossing above the yellow. The market had to put in this move just to shut up all the people who are talking shit, all the libtards. It was inevitable. I don't know why I didn't 100x long Tesla when I saw Tim or Tampon Tim to say that he had Tesla on his home screen.
Honestly, same.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, I didn't long like that. I just bought spot, obviously, and just like the first entry is the smallest one for the plan that I had. So I mean, I'm in, but it doesn't feel like a big win yet, even though the percentage up is huge. I need all of my money to be deployed. That's the only thing I bought.
I too am a gambler.
Yeah. I need more.
So
Come on. Create another narrative. Who's worse than Hitler?
Trump.
Elon Musk. That's who. Fucking take this shit down so I can buy
Exactly. Burn that swastika.
That swastika car. Never thought about that. That's pretty good.
By
By the way, they were showing on the news some of the Teslas that were damage, and they were like, and this one has a swastika, but we can't show you the image. Why not? Do you
They
know
show it on
why?
the History Channel all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Why not? Like, what's going on right now? People are so fucking retarded. I'm sorry. Go on.
Fun
My
fact,
bad.
though. Fun fact: the Tesla owners are the Nazis, but the libtards were the one drawing all the swastikas.
It is pretty odd. Yeah. It's so stupid. I love the future. It's absolutely retarded.
The most entertaining timeline possible.
Absolutely.
On the quarterly on Tesla, we were getting volatility expansion from the same level that we were at whenever we basically went up only in 2020, 2019, and 2020. Same exact level that we were at when we got that volatility expansion. We're getting that now from there. Momentum is close to flipping down. It is currently flipped down, actually, and it will remain to the downside as long as you're below $308.50. You got 5 days left to go for bulls to push this about $35, and if they can flip that up, it's going to be a rejection of the bearish control zone, hidden a bullish divergence confirmed on the quarterly, and probably moving from there. If you flip down, though, you're going to enter into the bearish control zone. You're likely going to get a pretty sharp move to the downside. I'm going to be a little questionable if 190 will hold in that situation, because fresh moves to the downside, somewhere around like this percentage of a move. Let's measure that. Oh,
That would be
31%.
ridiculous.
That's not that bad.
Yeah.
Let's measure
Oh, thank God.
31% from here. Oh, that brings us right around 185. That's very interesting.
Wow. It fits right in my bias.
Yeah, so let's flip it down then. Flip it down.
Yes, please.
Let's
Please.
smack that shit down. Monthly is also already flipped down. Very close to
Oh.
getting volatility contraction, and it's flipped down below $426.
Oh boy.
2-week is flipped down with a derp of death with volatility contraction below 428.
When was the last time we had that derp right there?
Here.
And it went from basically 273 to 140. Okay. Thank you.
Weekly is close to flipping back up. Currently flipped to the downside. In 2 days, it will flip up above 249. Last time we flipped up was around here. We went way lower on momentum than we did here, but we're making a higher low, putting in weekly hidden bullish divergence.
Mm.
And that likely sends us up to somewhere around that mid 300s, low to mid 300s. People will see the weekly hidden bullish divergence and say, we're going to new all-time highs. No, it just sends you to the next resistance point.
That would be
5
sweet.
days. 5 days also flipping up. That'd be a very nice short opportunity there too. 5 days also flipping up. It's going to flip up above $262. 2 days contracting from 100% volatility on this Dumperoonie, and it's flipped up above $233.50. Daily is also flipped up, and now daily is getting volatility expansion with a derp of life, and it's pointed up as long as you're above $230. And 4 hours just dancing on the edge right now. We've got about an hour to go, and it will flip down if you close below $280. Lower. All right, 2 hours also flip down, making it kind of like the 4 hour will flip down. And it's going to be flipped down below 284.50. And the hourly is also flipped to the downside. So let's go a little higher. Right now, the higher time frames on Tesla are telling you that you're likely going to get a more long form of more of a long form correction. It's looking like the quarterly is going to flip down, and the move will bring us somewhere around $185 if the quarterly does flip down. But we will still have those hidden bullish divergences. So even if we were to go to $185, still keeps that $480 target alive from that 185, and that's quite the move from $185 to $480. I personally would be satisfied with that alone. But then we'd have quarterly hidden bullish divergence, which takes us to astronomical numbers. Like that $3,500 number is probably going to update, but how much is it going to update to? 1,500? Even that's a fucking epic move.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
And down from there, all of our lower time frames are still flipped to the downside. The The daily is currently flipped up and the 2 days flipped up, but the 4 hour and lower are not flipping down, Tony. It is likely that our lower high is put in right now, as of this moment. The invalidation for that is if we get any type of daily close over about $288 or 88.50, and that will send us up towards that 350 and 320 area. However, that's going to be a very, very high probability rejection point. And from there, you're likely going to go to 185. 185 fails to hold, then this is probably going to go to $100. But my bias is 185 will hold. Go from there to somewhere around 480, maybe get a correction there, and then eventually probably to, sorry, it's scary to say it, but $1,000.
That'd be fucking swell. Dude, we go 180 and then $1,000. That's it. You guys will never hear from me again. You're like, please make it go to 185 and then 1,000.
But he's gonna move to Jalisco and go as Don Alejandro.
Well, exactly. I'm gonna be Don Señor Patron Alejandro. That's exactly how it's gonna.
Then the rumors are there anyways. Might as well do it.
I'm also gonna walk around with the assless pants. But I'm going to do it like they're going to be ballless and dickless. So it's just my balls and my dick hanging so that everyone knows how they hang.
That's a dominant play.
And you have to get fat like Pablo Escobar.
Absolutely. I'm halfway there. After going to Mexico and all this bullshit. All righty. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I already sent on the chat what's next.
Sweet.
Vamos a ver Tesla rápidamente, la pregunta del siglo. Este gran rebote que tuvo Tesla desde esta zona hasta hoy, estamos 26% arriba. Hasta el máximo local fue un 33% arriba. A Tesla normalmente le gusta rebotar fuerte en porcentajes grandes. Y cuando digo porcentajes grandes, estoy hablando de entre 35 y 45%, es lo que yo he notado personalmente en estos golpes fuertes a la alza. La pregunta del millón. Llegamos al fondo de Tesla y este es el fondo. Podría ser, pero, y espero que no, porque personalmente solamente me dio una entrada y necesito poner más dinero en esta cosa. Vamos a analizarlo rápidamente en otras temporalidades. Vamos a empezar con la trimestral. Trimestral tiene exactamente esto que están viendo por acá. Es una vela bastante relajadamente bajista, pero esta vela va a cerrar en 5 días y 4 horas. Aquí va a ser importante. ¿Por qué? 1, estamos perdiendo nuestro promedio del 5 y de perder la zona de los 263.69 en estos días, estaríamos perdiendo el 9. Y lo hemos dicho, cada que estamos y perdemos el 9, tenemos viajes muy bajos, damas y caballeros. Los tuvimos acá cuando llegamos a los 140. Lo tuvimos antes cuando llegamos a los 100 y simplemente es cuestión de perder en un cierre. Lo pueden ver acá, rebotas en el 9, ¡pum! Pierdes el 9, lo puedes volver a retomar, un SFP te rechaza el 5 y bolas, carnal. Es lo que te podría llevar. Así que vamos a estar pendientes acá con esto. La otra cosa que tenemos que notar es nuestra volatilidad está dando un cero bastante similar al del pasado, pero viene de un poco más arriba y esto podría ser a la baja o a la alza. A la alza nos llevaría números ridículos, arriba de los $1,000 por acción. A la baja nos llevaría por ahí de los $185, que es lo que yo estoy personalmente esperando. Podría estar equivocado, pero ya veremos qué es lo que pasa. Da igual, de todas maneras. Cada quien hace su cama y se echa a dormir en ella, tío. Es lo que me decía mi profesora de no sé qué chingados. Y pues yo le decía, tía, no sé ni siquiera lo que me estás enseñando, no sé qué quieres que aprenda de ti. Pero en fin. Sin más a las noticias, vamos y vemos también en la mensual perdiendo nuestro promedio del 5, nuestro promedio del 9, rechazados y yendo para acá abajo a esta línea meme en los 269, nice, que nos está aguantando por el momento. Con eso dicho, espérenme, me faltó la trimestral en esta. Potente caída al 38%, por cierto. En la trimestral, ¿dónde estamos parados en Tesla? Estamos perdiendo la zona azul, cayendo hasta el 50%. El 50% está acá junto a nuestra línea meme, los 269. Vamos a ver si no aguantan los 263. De no aguantar los 263, podríamos ver un escenario donde caigamos tranquilamente hasta los $180. pero va a tomar algo de tiempo. Hay obstáculos en medio y ese obstáculo, el primero sería en los 2.16, una vez más, la zona donde yo había marcado mi primera entrada. Vamos a la mensual. Dale, solamente denle 35 horas. Gracias. Oye, gracias, qué buena onda. Ok, ahora estamos cayendo en, recuerden, la trimestral faltan 5 malditas 5 días para cerrarla, ¿ok? Esta también faltan 5 días y 4 horas, la mensual, por su pollo. Pero ahora nos ha rechazado el promedio de 9, nos ha rechazado la parte alta de la zona azul. Nuestro siguiente objetivo debería de ser, muy probablemente, si no puede aguantar nuestros 2.65, el promedio del 34 está en 2.48, de no aguantar una vez más, 2.21 se vuelve una realidad por esta zona de los 2.16 y de no aguantar la parte baja de la zona azul está en los 200, nada mal, 205. En cuanto a puta madre, volatilidad no nos está diciendo absolutamente nada, solamente sabemos que esto se vería mal de cerrar como está en este momento. 2 semanas, por cierto, hay una divergencia bajista, alcista posible, por ejemplo, en la trimestral, pero faltan 5 días para cerrar y si no llega a los 420, básicamente no va a poder y eso yo creo que es imposible. Ahora, la de 2 semanas te cuento una buena historia porque mínimo esto que va a cerrar en 2 horas y en 2 días y 4 horas, estamos muy abajo. Y esto es lo que normal, y esto fue a mí lo que me hizo brincar al principio, fue ver esto en el HPDR. Ya que estás en la zona del 100%, es difícil dar continuación a ese movimiento. Lo que este promedio del 100 me hizo ver fue muy probablemente vayamos a estar por encima de, pero no me imaginé que tanto. Nos está rechazando nuestro promedio del 34, pero seguimos por encima del 97.5%. Siempre y cuando estemos por encima de 269, deberíamos estar bien. Semanal. Denle 30 horas. Interesantes, ¿no? Las velas, y acá tienes un gap, por cierto, en los 249, 250. Semanal nos cuenta un poco de la misma historia que estábamos viendo. Faltan 2 días y 4 horas, igual que la de 2 semanas, para cerrar. Nos cuenta un poco de la misma historia. Movimiento súper cansado, llegando al 100%. Esta fue el de todas. Nos ha dado un rebote potente hasta la zona de arriba del 88.3%, intentando ir al 78.6%, pero el 55 nos está rechazando a la baja y también el promedio del 5, que es algo ridículo en una semanal. También nuestro promedio del 9 está muy arriba, por acá en los $300. Por ahora, el S&P 200 es el que nos está aguantando en 248. De perder los 248, damas y caballeros, primero, las 260. Si pierdes de los 260 y los 248, vamos a ver una vez más los 200, mínimo los 216 y tal vez más para abajo, que es lo que yo personalmente pienso que se va a dar. De nuevo, no tengo ni puta idea de nada, pero recuerden, aquí están los expertos que les dicen. Tenemos también por acá un poco de lo mismo en la de 5 días, donde estamos ya por encima del 88. Perdiendo el 88.3% y cayendo al 95%, y tenemos nuestro promedio del 100 y 200 muy cerca, en los 260 y 248. Una vez más, no quieres perder los 248, 245, porque eso te llevaría muy para abajo. Diaria, justamente nos estamos peleando con nuestro promedio del 200, nuestro SMA 234 en esta zona en los 289. Y ahora la diaria tiene el problema que habíamos visto anterior en la, ¿cómo se llama? En la pasada. Tenemos un objetivo máximo de entre 309 y 395. Lo que nosotros esperamos es justamente ver cómo va a cerrar esto, porque existen varias sopas. Se las voy a poner acá tranquilas, sin que tengan que ver esto. Una, pierdes los 269 a la baja, y esto fue un alto más bajo. Me cuesta trabajo pensar que Tesla solo va a pompear esto. Yo creo que los 300 son posibles hasta los 300 y cacho. Es más, yo había puesto que esto podría pompear hasta más o menos esta zona o hasta esta zona y no me sorprendería, porque en el pasado lo ha hecho antes, pero nos está rechazando esto. Al rechazarnos esto, ¿qué esperamos? A la alza quiere cerrar arriba de 290. A la baja quiere cerrar encima de 269, abajo de 269. Si cierras por acá abajo, vas a ir a buscar un nuevo mínimo. Si cierras acá arriba, vas a ir a buscar cualquiera de estas dos zonas, 1 y 2, dependiendo a dónde se dé. Y ya, ahí la cosa es, vamos a ver qué movimiento se da primero. De nuevo, la gente optimista cree que esto ya fue el fondo y que esto va a dar continuación para la alza. Hey, bien, de todas maneras, dinero es dinero, me lo llevo, pero me gustaría bueno, sería a mi favor si esto llega a bajar como lo tengo planeado y poder agregar en esas zonas. Pero si no, pues bueno, ya veremos qué más hacemos. Por ahora, Tesla se ve bien ante estos rebotes y personalmente me tiene emocionado. All righty, what's next, sir?
Our favorite ranging stock, Inovix.
Inovix. Oh, yeah. We love ranging. We love ranging boners. Wait, what?
Wait a
Those are
minute.
different. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at this chart. It's so funny because it's just range.
Big
It just
range.
ranges. Yeah, that's it. But we actually do have something here. So, we were looking at this diagonal on Inovix, and of course, it's just been taking a while. I honestly can't even remember the last time I've seen this chart, but for what we have, we see it, we quickly reclaim back into the channel. From that point, reclaimed the weekly 9, made a move up, broke above the weekly EMA 100. From that open, you got to move up to the SMA 200. Did what Inovix loves to do, which just takes all the liquidity out, all the stops out before putting in a very disgusting shooting star on the weekly. This is a very good example of a top reversal candle, and it, momentarily uptrend, went up nicely. I mean, we're talking about a potential 113% move to then a nice shooting star, major deviation down. We even lost the weekly EMA 100, pushed up, reclaimed the EMA 100, unable to actually break this high, not invalidating this top candle, leading to that lower high to now the lower low. So, Inovix is boring, yes, but I mean, still definitely tradable moves. And so what we have now is I have the EMA 5, the 9, the 24, and the 30, the 21, the 34, all right here on the weekly view. We had a very nice bounce off support after we kind of did this capitulation from that diagonal. We went down about 28%. From there, formed, got a nice reaction, got a nice bounce. That bounce has taken us up to resistance. And now on the weekly, we're pressing and rejecting the weekly EMA 5. Now, it's always very evident when you start rejecting a moving average like the 5 versus the 9, it just shows the weakness in the chart. Now that we know that the weekly is in a confirmed downtrend with this lower low break, now for me, we have to gauge, okay, a bounce up, where's the next lower high going to be? And right now, Inovix is aggressively to the downside. We're rejecting pretty harshly that EMA 5, and now even into this weekly, we're again just back under resistance, and possibly this is going to be the next lower high. Wrong on that idea if the weekly can reclaim the 5. If it can, then we can easily make a move up to $9.30. But at that point, we have to really gauge that weekly 9 closely. But remember, it's not really out of Inovix's characteristic to solely reject the 5. You got this major deviation, formed another weekly lower high, rally stopped basically at the weekly 5 before making the next lower low. Then you got a logical bounce, kind of where we're at, formed the next lower high at the EMA 5 before making the lower low. And it wasn't really until you reclaimed that weekly 9 where you started to see bulls step in. But in that weekly 9 reclaim, you also had a trend shift because you broke the last lower high, and that's important. Now what you have is, again, a breakdown, lower low. Is the weekly lower high going to be what we've seen before, solely based at that weekly EMA 5? Definitely looks that way. Let's see how the HBR looks. HBDR is in breakdown posturing. You would have a bias at any rally up to that 38.2%, which luckily for us is sitting right around that weekly 9, would need to be rejected. That would be a breakdown, a retest for then another lower high possibly there, saying lower high a lot, but that's kind of what the easy trade would have been. It's more aggressive if it forms it here. And that just plays into the fact that, yeah, that's weak. That's weakness. I mean, Inovix bulls couldn't even take it above the 5. Slightly did, but couldn't even actually test the 9. Why do I keep doing that? Couldn't even test the 9, if not even the 38.2%. See, that would be a lot more clean to me. And it fills out some of that inefficiency. Rejecting the 5 is just aggressive. But still, I mean, nevertheless, as long as we're in this trade range now, you have resistance being $8.56 and support being all the way at $7.41. So we very well, just like what Inovix loves to do, could very well range within here for a while. And that could look something like this, goes back up, goes down, and we just do that for a while. It's not really until you either see that weekly 5 get reclaimed, any weekly closure above $8.69. We'll do that for the culture, would be bullish. And it's not until you see a breakdown where any weekly closure under $7.40, where that would be bearish. That's just range trading simply. Now we see the last occurrence where the weekly actually broke down, which was here. We broke down, and then from that point, any rally up again would get stopped from the 5 on the weekly. But then also what you notice is the 38.2% was also the stopping point. So again, just giving me more confluence to that bias that we definitely could be forming that higher low now, which is right at that weekly 5. Once we do break down though, generally we do, at least the last 2 occurrences I'm seeing, we have front ran that 38.2%. Like we haven't very cleanly hit it, rejected. Let me see though. Maybe we have another occurrence on the little data we have on this chart. Break down, rallied up. Again, weekly EMA 5 couldn't even go up to the 9 here. And the 38.2%. Similar scenario that we're in actually right here. Yeah, and so that's it. That's all we have. So in summary, I mean, it's very simple. Oops. Inovix to me is looking very bearish. I mean, the weekly trend is very freshly now down. We have weekly volatility at very, very low point. Let me just put the horizontal on. I mean, wow, that's actually the lowest volatility we've ever had on this chart's history. That's interesting to see. Only other occurrence where we actually got expansion was a failed setup here, where we had a nice busting action from that. But we did go up 24%. Again, failed. We reset, even went lower. And now this is very healthily expanding. So, you know, it makes sense, actually. Viewing the weekly, and what you'll notice is I'm really only sticking to the weekly. It just kind of eliminates the chop. But for me, the weekly volatility expanding from extreme lows is extremely concerning. It makes absolute sense to me that the chart would actually stop at the weekly 5, because that's already what we've seen in the past when we have broken down. But also with this weekly volatility so like healthily up, testing 50%, you have to really like understand that this can go up a lot more. I mean, at this 50% point, we easily could go up to like the 74%, which would be a 24% move up from this point on volatility, which would literally mean that, yeah, this would need to be the lower high, and we're probably going to start breaking down, break this low, and start going towards that lower low break, which will come probably towards like $6.34, if not all the way at $5.71. But remember, that's if we start really losing $7.41 or taking out that March 10th low. So that's the weekly view, very basic. Weekly looks like it's, you know, forming its next lower high. This is no short trigger. You just patiently wait for this deviation, get the close, possibly look at this as a short trigger here with your stop here, and that plays the weekly shooting star that's forming. You're wrong if we start taking out that weekly wick high. And that way, then you're playing the trend. You understand if this is the next lower high, you will definitely be wrong if we break that. Trend possibly could be flipped in bulls' favor, shifting this weekly BBWP an expansion for bulls. Until then, though, you have to be very cautious of any rally up being just a mean reversion, simple lower high, plays with the trend. And then when bears do end up taking back control, you're going to get those aggressive dumps like what we're seeing now. It's already down 3%, and this is closing in 2 days. Let's check the daily now. Nasty daily candle. Nice rejection of the 21 there. You can see daily even stopped at the 34. Again, just giving me more confidence of that daily stopping at the 34 that, yeah, this definitely could be the next lower high. You have some hopium, though, of a bounce being the median, or this just moves up. We'll have to see into the close. Definitely not a healthy daily candle, though, I will just say. Maybe the, yeah, I mean, yeah, just not healthy. This has implications for the weekly closing. And then we possibly get a move like this and then there. So just like what I just said. Very interesting. 2 days losing the median now. Closing in a day, though, but just ties into pretty nasty. You have an evening star top here. It just plays or gives me at least more bias that this definitely is looking like the lower high with the evening star. Often in uptrends, you'll form evening stars, shooting stars, doji tops around tops. Makes sense. But in order for that to play out, you need this wick high not to get taken out, and we need immediate follow through. Right? When you get an evening star, shooting star, you understand, and it makes it easy to trade those because for that to be true, right, shooting star, you need follow through. If you start then going up into this candle and it closes green, it greatly diminishes that being a top candle. But generally, yeah, and you get follow through, and that's what you're getting now. Now this is closing in a day, but as you see, I mean, the median 9 and 30, and the median, the 9 and the 5 are all kind of working against price now because we're just not holding it on top of it, this meme line, which is pretty strong for Inovix. Rejections down have led to pretty harsh, moves down. This was just straight down. And then, reclaims up have led to us going up. So pretty big spot here on Inovix, I will say. Technically on this 2-day, if we lose the median, next target will be $7.54. Again, good confluence of this being a range. And the new range. Not really getting anything on that. No, just no real different than the weekly. Monthly is interesting. If the monthly actually closes, let me turn the rainbow chart off real quick. If the monthly actually closes under $8.57, that'll actually be looking like a major range breakdown. And it makes sense, right? You can see what occurred last time this happened. We closed under $8.54. Into the next month, we got a 21% candle down. That was it. That was the only ever occurrence we ever had of a monthly breakdown from that point. So, or I guess here too, I'm blind. But that was, more like a trap, reclaim, tested this up, easy. So here is interesting because if the monthly starts losing this, especially when we know the quarterly is closing, that's not a good view. Let's check the quarterly because it makes sense, right? If we held a level for, we were above this for how many candles when we reclaimed it? We've been above this for like 330 days. Is that true? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I can't count.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it is. Wow. Yeah, that's quite important, specifically when we know that the weekly volatility is already busting up at the lowest point ever. Let's check that 2-week real quick. 2-week is just freshly now giving us a setup. Honestly, Inovix could be brewing a pretty easy academy short. I will say so myself, in my opinion. Specifically with the weekly firing off, easily could bleed into the 2-week. The 2-week, again, is at the lowest volatility read ever recorded. We have a major shift on volatility here. Why? Because now we're above the moving average, and we've done so for more than one closure. You can see we haven't been above the moving average since November of 2024. So it's been quite a while. Very bearish on this 2-week view. Let me just check the HPDR. Oh yeah. Even this 2-week, we got the breakdown, retested this zone, uncoincidentally lined up nicely with the EMA 5 on the 2-week. this is looking like this is in full bear territory. If let's say that monthly doesn't close above $8.53, it's going to really start looking like this is going to give us a massive short setup into next month, into April. I mean, you have that 2-week median shifted very dramatically up. Already tested the EMA 5 after losing it. So you got the bearish retest done. That's evident with the 38.2% tested. With weekly volatility only at 50%, expanding from the lowest point, while the 2-week is at the lowest point, freshly expanding, now above the moving average. You really do have to wonder if we're about to see this actually go to $5 within April.
Well, even monthly's expanding to the downside volatility.
5%. Let's check the monthly now, because I was on the monthly. We just went to the 2-week. Let's see. Yeah, so we don't have a setup, but it is at the lowest point. We are above the moving average. Haven't been above the moving average, I mean, since the last occurrence where back in February we got above it, and then we had here March 17%, April 21%. Pretty brutal drop. What I was going to say on the monthly, though, aside from, this being a range breakdown, just as we can see, is even if you get a move up, you have all of these working against you. So you have a monthly breakdown. If, let's say, by the grace of God, maybe we do close under this, but then into next month, we get a major squeeze up. We even test this, it'll just look like a monthly bearish retest, possibly another monthly lower low, rejection of the median, rejection of the monthly 9, giving you a next target all the way down, assuming this doesn't shift, right around $6.73. The fact that we're already under the median, though, still makes it probable that we are going to test $6.73, and these will shift in April. But I'm all just eyes on this right here. This is very important to understand, because now that we know that the monthly has been holding this support for 300 and something days, I'm very certain the quarterly hasn't lost this ever. Yeah, hasn't. So we lost it one time in the history of this chart. Got a very nice reclaim, but we did break down. We'll say, I mean, from that, we did break down. I mean, we ended up going down 27%, support held, busted up. And what you see is we've just, HBDR is not too important here, in my opinion, not a lot of data. But you just see the reaction of this. I mean, this is support. This isn't good that we're losing that. Last occurrence in that monthly led to a over 20% move down. You're also getting, I guess the 2-month isn't closing, but I think the 6-month is too. No. It's fine. So not good. Really not good. On top of that, this is just like a disgusting quarterly candle. Last occurrence where we had something similar to this, where we were moving up, and then we formed a major like topping candle on the quarterly, was here. This one. Next one, I mean, we went up to the quarterly 9, rejected. But even if we just take it from that open, it did end up going down 30%. 30% from, let's say, 854, assuming we lose support, would be right at $8.58. Next, if you're just playing the meme lines, that'd be the next target, which actually I think lines up with the monthly view on the HBDR. Yeah, actually, that'd be the 61.8% perfectly. So, yeah, I mean, you lose that. You already know the monthly's in a downtrend. The weekly just shifted back into a downtrend. You have volatility firing off on the 2-week, the weekly, the monthly expanding, breaking above the moving average. You also understand that once you really do start taking out like this low, you're going to be testing the monthly 38.2%. In the history of this chart, we've only seen that breakdown, I believe, one time. Let's see, broke down here, follow through. That was a literal 40% candle down, not even taking it from the low. And then here, broke down, and then rallied up, rejected it. This was really more like a trap. You didn't get follow through. Here you did. Broke down, rallied up, rejected the 9, and from there you had 2 months of 17% down and 21% down. So pretty like dramatic. If you do end up breaking that 38.2%, it'll just give you maximum confirmation that this low probably isn't going to hold. We're probably going to make a new low, and that'll just be a new lower low in the overall downtrend. Because let's not forget, Inovix from the start of this whole entire chart has been nothing more than a downtrend, with this being a major trap, this being the lower high, lower high, lower high, and lower high. So, I mean, that's why we joke about this chart, because it just does nothing more than just trends. Drawing this out, you even see you're breaking down. So, which is, you're getting that confirmation on all the other time frames. So this kind of does make sense. This would be breaking down. Draw it, I guess, a little more clean. Like I said, we're professionals here. We're professionals with the meme lines, no LARP lines. That's all I have.
Absolutely. Absolutely, sir. Thank you so very
We
much.
do professional lines.
I've heard that from many friends of mine that spend a lot of time in the bathroom when we go out.
Oh, little Pedro has to use the restroom again for the 74th time this night.
I wonder what he's doing in the bathroom. That was me when I went clubbing with my first friend that was like legitimately addicted to cocaine, and I had no idea. I was like, why does he keep going to the bathroom?
Wasn't this guy just blacking out 2 minutes ago? Now he's 100%. Very interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was quite the revelation for me. Fucking incredible. I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
And I'm gonna put you on screen for it, if you don't mind. The question is, could you please, this is Mr. Who Knows, right in our chat. And the question is, could you please tell us about a possible alt season? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's been gone. I don't think I think your alt season was when your absolute dog shit coins were doing 100x's.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's looking grim. And Alex, I'll tell you why it's looking grim via the chart. The alt season to me doesn't look like it's ever going to occur. You know, what we had in alt season, this is what everyone obsessed about, was when Bitcoin dominance launched for the first time, was at basically 98 to 99% and then dumped. Of course, that's going to happen. At this point, you had maybe less than 10,000 altcoins as well. This caused monumental gains. I mean 10,000% gains in a month, essentially. So this is what everyone obsesses over. Now, we had a little alt season here in 2021, of course, where certain alts, Luna, AVAX, Phantom,
NFTs.
other ones, NFTs went up really nicely, but nothing compared to this. And what you get consistently is diminishing returns with the altcoin gains, in my opinion, which makes sense because of how saturated the market gets. Now, in this scenario, you didn't really have an alt season per se because you didn't see Bitcoin dominance collapse. But what you had was certain altcoins like XRP, like INJ in the very beginning of the cycle went parabolic. You had very, very, very specific niche coins actually go up. And then certain coins like XRP, Binance, TRX showed relevant strength and actually made all-time highs. But things like ETH, Cardano, Litecoin, AVAX, Brett, all of them just basically made new macro lower highs. And why would that occur? Like, why wouldn't alt season occur? What do you mean? We should have alt season. It always happens. My favorite influencer told me. But the issue with alt season is that you need Bitcoin dominance to become weak. And Bitcoin dominance is very far from weak. Actually, why I'm still on the quarterly is to represent this isn't an uptrend. You have potentially a major higher low, right? So you had the major collapse, you made that low. You then rallied up. Okay, cool, rallied up. But then this took out the last high. This was the higher high. You then came down. You formed a major higher low. And then from that point, I don't think it's random. You've had essentially up only on Bitcoin dominance since the beginning of 2023. Bitcoin dominance is going to be your key metric while also using ETH-BTC, which I'll talk about after this, to then gauge your alt season. Now, one thing to note and why I don't think alt season will ever happen like what we've seen even in 2021, but specifically in 2018, 2017 was because you're having things on the chart happen on Bitcoin dominance that has never occurred in the history of Bitcoin dominance, meaning you've never potentially had the quarterly reclaim above the EMA 34, while potentially having volatility at the lowest rate in the history of this chart. That's very bullish to me. This tells me that we could see Bitcoin dominance move on a volatility-wise to a level we have never seen in the history of this chart, while also on the quarterly reclaiming my last stand for bears to reject us being the 34 before you inevitably go up to the 100. This is a quarterly. This is a very new chart. You don't have the 100. So that just represents you really just have then mean lines. And at that point, your next target is the 69% for the culture. You're now testing 2020 to 2021 highs. Break that. It's not a coincidence. This is such a massive gap. This is like a major gap up from the 69% to almost the 80%. Then maybe, you know, the quarterly is too slow. So we look at the EMA 100 on the monthly. You'll also notice you've never ever reclaimed this, and you've never even tested this on the chart. Now, again, all these moving averages are very, you know, they've just populated within the last 2-3 years, but I still don't discredit them. It's still very big. The fact that we're now testing the monthly EMA 100, and I did talk about this being resistance, but we didn't really reject what you'd expect a rejection to be on a monthly EMA 100. This is a very big level. And the fact that you've had just tiny little rejections tells me that this is very predatory to shorts. Everyone's trying to short this and catch a top here. While the monthly is still in a fresh uptrend, never even shifted its trend, but the weekly is in a fresh uptrend. That was evident when we took out this high. Remember, I wanted the rally up. I wanted us to reject here, and I wanted that to be our alt season. That didn't happen. Instead, you broke this high, formed a higher high, higher low here at the weekly 9. Now, to me, it looks like, you know, Bitcoin dominance is just going to go up again and possibly break up to 69%. Something no one will tell you about. And they'll just consistently tell you to keep buying altcoins. Now, on the flip side, you could reject this. You could easily break this trend. You could easily lose the monthly 9, and then you'll see altcoins do well. Not every altcoin, of course, certain altcoins. But until then, you really do have to be cautious here. I mean, this like structure in the chart that hasn't ever occurred has to really make you extremely cautious. On top of that, you have monthly volatility at the lowest point, breaking above the moving average, something that hasn't occurred since this little fake out here, where we did end up going. It was a fake out, yes, but I mean, Bitcoin dominance still ended up going up 6%. Just any percent up is just like 10% down for your altcoins. That's how you have to really interpret it. This moves up 10%, Solana can be down 5%. You know, and then you have a shitty coin like Brett. This moves up 1%, your altcoin could be down 10%. So that's to me why alt season probably won't happen. It should have happened already, and it didn't. Bitcoin dominance is extremely bullish. We're seeing things we've never seen ever in this chart, even like the 2-week SMA 200 getting reclaimed. That's insane. This is telling me that this is extremely bullish. There's really nothing to be bearish about. Anyone who is bearish on Bitcoin dominance is just kind of hoping at that point, and they're probably over leveraged on altcoins. You can even see on the weekly view, this is like very close to holding the median. And if we do hold the weekly median, next target would be 63%. You're already then testing that wick high that all of crypto Twitter said was the top. And then at that point, you'd be breaking out on the weekly. So that's Bitcoin dominance. It's looking extremely bullish. We've not seen this actually bullish price structure ever in the history of Bitcoin dominance. And that's very not good for alts, because what everyone wants is this. Oh, yeah, no, we know it's bullish, but like this could happen. And then alt season. But like things are different here. And things are totally different than like what was happening here. Just like here is totally different. And altcoins really do run on just like the supply of money and things like that. Things that I don't understand. But with Bitcoin dominance, it's looking too bullish. Now, again, ETH BTC, I'll just quickly say this is just death. This looks just disgusting. Remember what I said. We don't touch altcoins as long as Bitcoin or ETH BTC is under the 366. I religiously talked about that. I was very excited here. I was talking about this being possibly the next higher low. We did move up. We reclaimed the weekly 9. We never shifted the trend though. And then we just collapsed. Once we deviated this, I said, yeah, no, it's over. Like we don't want to be touching alts. I'm probably wrong on that alt season. Bitcoin dominance topping out. Bitcoin dominance is probably going to break out, and ETH BTC is probably going to break down. That's literally what has occurred. Now, that is my criteria on alts. Is I'm bearish as long as we are under that 366. And you can just use that same criteria. That has generally been a good criteria. Under has been bad. Above has been really good to be in alts, right? Under just not really good at all. This is like not good. And then when we're holding it and we're above it, that's really good. So, I mean, I don't know why everyone complicates all it's because everyone wants to be a hero and catch something like this and then that, but like that's not going to happen. That's not how trading works. You can be aggressive when you break the weekly trend. Until then, you're just going to be caught trying to trade this long the lower high, lower low. Try to trade it long the lower high, lower low. And like that's unfortunately how it's been for what, 3 years now? 4 or 5? Yeah, 3 years basically, 2.5 years, 3 years. Disgusting, ugly, terrible, not good at all. So yeah, that's why your alt season's not going to work. This is why you don't want to be aping into ETH right now, even if it's on discount, because Ethereum can go a lot lower. Like if you ever have a chart that looks like this, and if it wasn't ETH or Bitcoin, let's say the top two, you just had any other chart that looked like this, any person that knows TA would say this is just like you pack it up. You don't touch this anymore. Why? Because you have the highs, you have the lower high, you have another high, you have another lower high. And if you know the cycles of crypto, it's like this is the death sentence to any altcoin. It's not being able to break its last cycle high when the money printers are going, when everyone's bullish, when inflation's through the roof. Bitcoin's going parabolic. This did not. Bitcoin dominance went parabolic. Sol versus ETH went parabolic. Sol versus Bitcoin went parabolic. This did not. And so it's just funny when I see people talk about ETH like it's any different than like Cardano. It's not. It's shit. It's just a shit coin now. And now what you're doing is you're now all the way back at the 2020 lows, all the way back at 2020 lows. That was the black swan of COVID. That's how weak this chart is, while Bitcoin is potentially brewing a major collapse and everyone's still bullish on alts. What will your altcoin be? What will ETH be when, ETH BTC is at 2020 black swan lows and Bitcoin is only at $86,000. What will this be when Bitcoin's at 63,000, 50,000? What will Ethereum be? And that's why I personally think ETH's going to hit 500 to 400 this cycle, and we're going to be testing probably levels on ETH BTC we've never seen. Now, I'll be wrong on this, and you can clip me. Maybe this just holds again. Maybe I don't know though, because like it's just not good, and we definitely could range in here, but. Yeah, I mean, that just puts in the perspective. When anyone asks me about alt season, this is just where my brain goes. My brain goes to Bitcoin dominance, and I hope that really does make sense. And just to kind of finish this off, remember, the next support range is technically 30% down from here. So, yeah, interpret that however you want.
Ben Cowan would be proud of you, my son.
Oh, yeah.
He's
And also
screaming
for,
his pants as we speak.
yeah, for everyone that's listening and watching and want to know about that, because you were saying, I don't understand how or why these alt seasons come and go with monetary policy. Here you go. The best example is 2021. When you have an excess of money, when you're like for the first time in your life making it, right? You get money. So what do you buy? The first thing I'm going to buy is probably a car, right? If I don't have like a bunch of money to buy a house. So I'm going to buy my car. Then I continue to do well. I'm going to buy my house. That's awesome. I have a car and a house. Then I'm going to start investing. I'm going to buy stocks. So I go and buy stocks. I have money. I have a car. I have a house. I have stocks. And then from there, we go, all right, I got stocks and all this shit. I'm going to buy crypto. So you buy crypto, you buy Bitcoin and all of the main stuff. And then from there, you're like, dude, I have so much fucking money. I'm going to buy a monkey picture for $8,000. That's what I'm going to do. So people buy NFTs. So when shit hits the fan and it goes the other way around and you start losing all of your money, the first thing you're going to sell is the monkey picture for $8,000 that you bought. Then you're going to sell your crypto. Then you're going to sell your stocks. Then you're going to sell either your car or your house, depending on what's going to give you cash. So that's literally that simple of how it follows money. It doesn't require any more analysis beyond that, in my view. Now, I could be completely wrong and not know anything like I always don't. Damn it. So, well, I told you guys this for nothing. Enjoy. All righty. Inovix. Estamos viendo la mensual porque no hay tantos datos, honestamente, en Inovix para poder llevárnoslo a casa con más, pero lo han visto acá. Básicamente venimos de cuando lanzó en enero del 2021, que estaba en $19, hacer un máximo histórico por ahí de los $40, y ahora estamos en $8.20. La historia de casi todas las cosas que estamos viendo. Lo que quiero enseñarles son rangos. Ok, primero y antes que nada. ¿Por qué rangos? Déjenme quito mis promedios y les ilustro el rango. Ok, este es un rango bastante choncho. Este es un rango bastante choncho. Y este es un rango no choncho, pero un rango que se está formando y tenemos que entender dónde está el final de este rango. ¿Ok? Esos son los 3 rangos que tengo. ¿Por qué? Porque encima de este vas a los 17. Abajo de este vas a los 7. Y para quien no me crea, vean, siempre y cuando resistencia, digo, soporte, lo rompimos, se vuelve resistencia. Después lo rompimos una vez más, otra vez el madrazo hasta arriba. Lo pierdes hasta abajo, güey. Es bastante sencillo. Y la parte que tiene las líneas doteadas, punteadas, esa parte simplemente es la parte favorita del rango donde le gusta intercambiar a la alza o a la baja dentro del rango. Donde si yo estuviera poniendo un take profit y un segundo, pondría 1, 2, 1, 2, siempre o para abajo también. ¿Ok? Hemos estado haciendo altos más bajos, altos más bajos, altos más bajos, altos más bajos. Y hasta la fecha habíamos creado bajos más bajos, pero muy a la Rivian, estamos acá. En el punto donde, pues sí, tienes un bajo más alto, pero también tienes un bajo más alto. Y nadie sabe qué va a pasar. Esta es la pregunta del siglo. Ahora, tienes una vela topera. A Rivian con velas toperas, digo a Rivian, a Inovix con velas toperas les gusta ir a la parte baja del canal. De la vela topera, llegaste a la parte baja del rango. Y ahora estás aguantando. Lo que sí fue, te llevaste todos los bajos menos estos. Lo que nos pone una vez más en la tesitura de, ok, entonces, alcista o bajista. Y es lo que no sabemos, es donde estamos parados en este momento. Ahora, si les pongo los promedios y además la volatilidad, van a ver instantáneamente que acabo de dibujar como pendejo y siempre lo hago. Pero ante nuestra volatilidad mensual, tenemos el setup más potente que hemos visto en la historia de la tabla porque venimos del punto más bajo, el 24%, estamos por encima del promedio y podemos ver que esto es para abajo. Ahora, no se tiene que mover uno de estos setups como en cripto. No esperamos un 30% de cambio, ¿no? Pero estamos ante la situación donde la volatilidad está jugando factor, tenemos una vela topera, tenemos seguimiento y tenemos el que sigue. Faltan solamente 5 días y 3 horas para cerrar. Ok, también estamos por debajo de nuestro promedio del 5, 9, 21 y 34, pero más importante, en una mensual debajo del 5 y el 9, nos consideramos en un mercado bajista. ¿Qué es lo que quiere decir esto? Que este fue un SFP. Y si este fue un SFP como lo fue acá, tienes que ir mínimo a esta parte o a la que sigue para abajo. Esto es lo que va a cambiar todo en Inovix. Ahora, viéndolo así, pueden ver que también estamos por debajo de la media, que está justamente en la parte media de mi rango, y eso nos da más preferencia a ir a la zona de los 6.76. Los 6.76 no nos ponen en un mínimo más bajo todavía, pero el pegarle a la parte baja de la zona azul te da una alta probabilidad de ir al 61.8% y eso coincide perfectamente con el bajo más bajo. Básicamente esto le daría una sentencia oficial a Inovix para crear un nuevo bajo, un nuevo mínimo, ¿ok? 2 semanas. Vean nada más qué bonito, uy, qué bonitos rangos. 2 semanas tenemos el rechazo de la parte baja, la zona azul, y eso nos debería dar una alta probabilidad de ir al 61.8%, lo que barrería este mínimo de acá y nos pondrían una vez más en una situación de poder ir a visitar los 5.70. Semanal, nos está rechazando nuestro promedio del 5.9, todo, además de que le hicimos un rechazo al 50% y ahora la parte baja del 78.6% está en 7.78, muy cerca de esta línea meme, para que lo vean ahí. Diaria, vamos a la diaria. La de harina, tíos, la diaria. Estamos perdiendo nuestro promedio del 9, estamos atentos. Yo creo que todo esto empieza si llegamos a perder los 808. De llegar a perder los 808 vas al 757, que es la parte baja de la zona azul, y una vez que llegues ahí, yo creo que muy probablemente vamos a firmar otro mínimo. Y aquí es donde tendríamos que voltear a ver y decir, güey, que por el amor de Dios, rebotemos si somos alcistas en el 715. Si no somos alcistas y nos da igual, esto tiene cara que va a cocinarse siempre y cuando te lleves el mínimo en los 711. Y hay muchísimas cosas que nos está diciendo que 711 se lo van a llevar de corbata. Y nuestro siguiente objetivo debería de ser los 571. ¿Por qué? Por los mínimos pasados, los 571. De ahí ya veremos. Por ahora, ¿qué es lo que quieres hacer si eres alcista? Cerrar arriba de 876. Cerrando arriba de 876, te empieza a dar la probabilidad de ir a buscar siguientes objetivos por acá. Por ahora todo viene muy bajista, pero también una tabla se ve más bajista cuando está en el punto más bajo de toda su historia, al igual que una tabla se ve más alcista cuando está todo en el tope de absolutamente todo. Paciencia es lo que yo diría a la gente. La probabilidad más alta es, ahorita lo que más tienes que ver es los 808. Pierdes los 808 y te va a tocar ver los bajos 7 y de ahí muy probablemente los 5. De no perder el 808 y de poder empezar a llevarte el 8, digamos 876 para arriba, eso te pondría en una mejor posición y podríamos decir que vamos a los 9. Por ahora tiene más cara que ir para abajo. En todas las temporalidades se ve bajista. No hay dónde rescatar nada sí, y ya. Es lo que es con Inovix. What was next? Do we know?
Oclo.
Yeah.
Oh, Oklo.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what this motherfucker's
Let me
doing.
share my screen. It was nuking quite hard last I saw.
It was, but it held this area right here in the 26. This is one that I'm still wondering if I should buy more.
I was just putting in an order to sell some shitcoin called XLM. I have sold it now.
I know what XLM is. Why do you have that? Yeah.
So I use it to transfer money.
Oh.
Because it's very fast.
Got it. Hang on. This
So,
is Oklo. I'm sorry. Go on.
all right. So I'm gonna start with monthly on Oklo. Same thing that we talked about when we looked at it last time. This thing likes to rally up to the 100% on the HPTR, and then it goes through a contraction, consolidatory and pullback phase before getting another massive girthy green dildo back up to the 100%, consolidating, and then another one followed by consolidation, and just likes to keep doing that. And this gives you around the range of maybe 3 to 6 months of consolidation before another blast off to new all-time highs. Right now, this consolidation phase, in my opinion, is going to continue, but we're not going to go lower as long as we're holding this 9 EMA at $23.83. Once you start to lose that 9 EMA, that's when you start to see a deeper correction down towards the 21, and that's sitting somewhere around $18. And that from the top is going to be quite hot, quite a correction. That's going to be about like 69, 70% from the top to the 21 EMA. Even as of right now, we're down quite a respectable amount. We're down about 56%. On the time before that, when we went up to the 100%, we corrected about 39%. So we corrected more than we did then when we went to new highs. This one is going to be closer to this one here, where we corrected about 71%. So if we were to take 71% from this high, that puts us roughly at that 21 EMA. Very interesting, giving us pretty high probabilities actually that maybe that situation actually does happen, and it takes longer than I originally thought for these HPDR ranges to step up. But as long as they don't step up, you're probably in for sideways/down. And momentum and volatility is only the same thing. They're sitting at 98% each. 2 weeks already started to contract on momentum with volatility started contracting as well. Telling you probably can be corrected before you go to new highs. And right now the jewel is starting to give you a sell signal in the bullish control zone. You have lost a 90 EMA, so I would look for somewhere around that 21 EMA, which is that same $23 zone. Should get a little bit of a bounce there, even if you're bearish. But this is going to be the area where if you start to lose it, then you're going to drop down to somewhere around $17, maybe even lower. Weekly is getting pretty low to the it's the opposite end on momentum and volatility. Getting pretty very extreme lows, getting below the 100%. That's pretty crazy. And volatility is at 100%. The jewel is giving you quite the sell signal with the pink crossing below the yellow, the dark blue losing the bullish control zone, and a God mode sell signal. It's marked out with a vertical background, vertical line with the God mode as well. You could do it right there. We only really have one with the yellow. You just have to mark this for the God mode. How much of a move down did we get? Oh shit. That's not really much at all. This thing didn't really have any volatility at that point. 2%. Is this where Scam Altman got involved?
Yeah.
Interesting. That was all right. Quite the dumpski. 65% as of now. We're only down 13.58%. Let's take it a very tranquilo 65%. Uh-oh, that's a little low. Still technically a higher low on the macro though. As long as you're above this area, but that would be very dirty. And actually, if you were to get a little bounce from here, could give you a little herp and derp, head and shoulders,
Oh, yeah.
just for funsies. I'm gonna turn the magnet off. Wow, it brings us to that similar $11 area. Very interesting. Amazing. 5 days, also just like the weekly into the 100%. Volatilities at 98%, momentum's at 98%. Jules giving us that same sell signal, pink crossing below the yellow. It's not looking good, fellas. Although this is a very high probability bounce area, that bounce likely leads to a lower high, completing the head and shoulders and taking it down to like $11. 2 day is starting to get momentum flipping up with volatility flipping down. It goes along with that short-term bounce. Right now, the jewel is starting to flip around into a buy signal within the bearish control zone. Let's mark that with a vertical line, buy signal within the bearish control zone. This one's going to be a little bit more powerful because we had the pink crossing above the yellow. I'll just avoid looking at it whenever Scam Ultimate was not involved.
Yeah, yeah. It makes no sense.
Yeah, so let's just delete that one. Was he involved in March of 2024?
Yeah.
All right, so we can
yeah.
use that.
It's when it starts to like really pump, like at first, that's when they drop the SPAC.
That's about 65% to the upside. Turn the magnet back on. 31%. This one's not much. 11%. Still something. This one was quite respectable. 359%, and then higher. And then higher.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was
800,
way.
866%. Holy shit. As of now, we have only moved up 7.74%. We would take it to that 11%. That would put us at about $30.74. Very, very nice area to put it another lower high and make that head and shoulders and then dump it. Daily is getting 2 day was flipping up on. That's very interesting. Daily is now flipping down on momentum, while 2 day is flipping up, telling you maybe the lower high is in. And volatility is now about to flip back up while momentum is flipping down. Let's make this HPDR disappear for a second. Maybe the inverse, maybe the head and shoulders is it right there. Interesting. Let's take that. Uh-oh, I put in the wrong type of line. Uh-oh, it's curved. It's not straight. $13.66. Let's see if that number comes back up. 4 hours doing the same thing as the daily, and now 4 hours freshly breaking down after getting that many bearish retests of the 200 SMA and deviations of it with volatility expansion. This is looking quite nasty, and this is quite the bearish engulfing on the 4 hour. Switch to the RSI. Monthly is now putting in a fresh drive or fresh third drive of bearish divergence as long as you close below $29.82. And that will give you a natural target of at the very least hitting the simple moving average, which right now is sitting at $23.83. But likely you go lower towards that mid zone on the RSI. Right now, that mid zone sits at a very beautiful $11.12. That's a nice number, 11.12.
Sounds like a store for cheap
11.12.
items. Yeah.
Everything for $11.12.
It used to be the dollar store. He'd reopen
Yeah,
again through inflation.
the 99-cent only store is now the 11.12 store. 2 week now already has confirmed the 3 drives of bearish divergence, and it will be confirmed as long as you're closing up below $35.07. And that will give you a natural target of hitting that middle zone on the RSI, which right now is maybe up, it may update and fit closer to my bias, but right now it's at $8.41. I'm thinking it updates to 11s. Or maybe this is even more bearish than I thought. Weekly has confirmed 3 drives of bearish divergence as long as you're closing below. Let's see, number here, $38.68. And now you're about to put in a weekly bearish engulfing as well, very close to it. That does confirm you're likely going to come at a minimum down to this $21 area, but more likely down to somewhere around $16 to $18. Five-day has hidden bullish divergence confirmed, and it will be active as long as you're closing above $25.75, but it does look like top has been put in. It has hit the easy targets. We tapped our little cluster of EMAs here, and it's very close to being invalidated now. 3-day show makes it a little bit more likely that it's going to be invalidated, considering now we have 3 drives of bearish divergence confirmed, and it will be active as long as you're closing below $38.68, and get any tick below about $23.26, and you're likely going to dump down towards this critical zone, which right now it doesn't tell you what number that is. Interesting. Oh, fuck. Daily is about to put in a fresh third drive of hidden bearish divergence, and it will confirm as long as you close below $27.66. And that will give you a natural target of this 200 SMA right around 19 to 18, $19, basically. Very interesting, very nice. Switch to momentum. Monthly momentum is still to the, oh, actually, it's flipping down freshly. It's currently pointed up, but it will flip down in 5 days and 3 hours with volatility contraction if you close below $35.94. Right now, we're about $9 below. 2 week is also flipping down with volatility contraction as long as you're below $51.05. We are almost twice this number right now, or below this number. Weekly is also pointing down below $44.45. 5 day pointing down below $41.54. 3 day pointing up above $24.06. Daily pointing up above $25.96. And 4 hour now starting to flip down with volatility expansion with a derp of death below $28.84. So the high time frames look like they're finally starting to get that pullback that was due for the longest times, considering we hit such extreme levels on volatility and momentum for such long periods of time. And now we're freshly starting to flip down. We're putting in a third drive of bearish divergence on the monthly. We already have 3 drives of bearish divergence confirmed on the weekly and the 2 week. The lower timeframes are still positioned to the upside on momentum, but it is looking like based on the 4 hour that they are going to start flipping down. And we have put in our lower high, giving us that head and shoulders, which would have a target somewhere between $13.66 towards $11. And based on the high time frames volatility setups, it is likely that $11 to $13 area will be our next macro low, and then we can continue to new all-time highs from there after our HPDR ranges step up. But right now,
I'm sorry, which one's your micro low? 13?
11 to 13.66.
Nice. Okay.
And then from there, I would expect the ranges to step up and go to new all-time highs. But short to medium term, I am leaning bearish on this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. You can go rest. I'll take care of this, motherfucker. And we'll see you on Friday.
Muchas gracias. Hasta luego and buenas tardes, muchachos.
Buenas tardes. Thank you. Ok, estamos viendo Oklo. Esto es la jugada de Sam Altman en el campo de energía nuclear. Recuerden, con los mini reactores. Esto es un SPAC, por lo que antes de esto es irrelevante, porque todo esto fue... todo esto que ven antes fue antes de que entrara Sam Altman. Esto fue la entrada de Sam Altman, me parece, en marzo del 2024. Pero bueno, sin más ni más, hemos tocado un mínimo en esta cosa de $5.30 y llegamos a estar en casi $60. Nada mal, pero estamos cotizando el día de hoy en 26.20 después de esta gran caída de tope a donde estamos el día de hoy. Hemos visto ya un ajuste de 55%, muy a la Tesla, y en el punto más bajo 60%. Ok, la pregunta es, ¿esto es alcista, bajista? ¿Qué vamos a hacer? Voy a ir a la de un mes, porque más allá de esto es, en mi opinión, ridículo. No hay suficientes datos. Es más, la mensual es aún así ridícula. No la quiero poner. Lo único que quiero ver en la mensual es mis promedios. Vemos que perdemos el promedio del 5, importante, y ahora importante a poder aguantar el 9, el 23.88. Perdiendo este mínimo, casi te lo estás llevando y eso me va a decir que vamos más para abajo, ¿ok? Con eso dicho, vemos volatilidad continúa completamente en 3 periodos de 100% volatilidad con 3 máximos. 2 semanas. 2 semanas empieza ya a ponernos una fotografía más sensible. Enfrente, volatilidad continúa completamente en extremos. Estamos siendo rechazados por nuestro promedio del 5, el 9, y eso nos pone en una postura bajista. Nuestro siguiente objetivo deberían ser los 23.58, pero ya les dije, si perdemos acá los 23, básicamente, vamos a ir mucho más abajo. Tenemos también divergencias bajistas en la mensual. Estamos a punto de confirmar la tercera. En la de 2 semanas tenemos 3. confirmadas. En la semanal también tenemos 3 divergencias bajistas confirmadas de continuación bajista y en todas las temporalidades, menos en 2 días, 3 días, pero cuando te vas a la diaria y demás, empieza a volver a ser bajista y sobre todo la de 4 horas. Solamente quiero que eso quede claro. Ok. Voy a poner el HPDR rápidamente para que lo podamos ver dónde hemos estado. Venimos básicamente el 100% y estamos cayendo en la zona verde. Esta zona verde nos había aguantado simplemente nuestra línea, oye, nuestros amores y deseos y nuestras fantasías, pero ahora parece que vamos a ir a los $24. De los $24 deberíamos de ir, y esto es donde se pone interesante, la media está en los 22.94. Hay muy poca información para que esto todavía tenga algo de sentido, ¿ok? De perder la zona del 50%, ir a la parte alta de la zona azul, básicamente te daría una alta probabilidad de romper todo esto a la baja y darle a los objetivos que nos decía Farhan en lo que estaba platicando de Inovix. En la misma semanal, no se tienen que ir tan lejos. Vean la semanal. Semanal tenemos rechazo el promedio. Ya estamos en la parte baja del 100%, ¿ok? Yo creo que el HPDR no lo vamos a usar en esto. Es un poco estúpido. No hay suficientes datos. En la semanal estamos abajo del promedio del 9, abajo del promedio del 5, abajo del 21, fue donde nos rechazó. Y ahora esto nos está haciendo pensar que literalmente este fue nuestro siguiente alto más bajo para después crear un bajo más alto, un bajo más bajo, un alto más bajo y un bajo. Recuerden que en tendencias tenemos que ir paso a paso. Creamos ya el mínimo, tenemos que crear el máximo, que sería un máximo más bajo, para después crear un mínimo más bajo y después crear un máximo más bajo. Ahora estoy adivinando esos puntos, no crean que hay algo de ciencia detrás de ello. Sé que toda la gente me ve como el gran científico que soy, pero no, Ahora, 5 días, un poco de lo mismo, los mismos rechazos. Continuación, ¿ok? Bien. Voy a la diaria. Diaria nos cuenta la historia perfecta. ¿Por qué? Van a verlo acá. Me atrevería yo a poner ahora mi rango acá y mi fin del canal acá. Ok. Sí. Ok. En la diaria tenemos un cruce plateado a la baja donde el 21, el promedio del 21 sesiones se va por debajo del de 55. Tenemos el rechazo del 21. No tenemos la pérdida del promedio del 5 y el 9 en la diaria, güey. En la diaria. Y ahora, ¿qué es lo que tienes aquí abajo? Tu promedio del SMI 200 sesiones aquí abajo en los $19. ¿Qué es lo que nos dice todo esto para ponerlo bastante bonito? Y ahí les va para todos mis amigos que están interesados en esta cosa. Y les voy a ser sincero, no, como no tengo suficiente entendimiento de esto y no creo en Sam Altman, esta no es una de esas una jugada de convicción fuerte que tengo. Y la razón por qué es porque simplemente tengo que confiar ciegamente en la empresa. Como diría con Tesla, como diría con Rivian, con esto no lo conozco tanto, pero ahí les va lo que les puedo decir, ¿ok? Cambiaría esto por un amarilla, ese es un rango, este completamente es otro rango y este es otro rango. Ahora, este es la parte baja de otro rango y ahora lo voy a poner acá, acá. Voy a hacer las de 2, ¿ok? Ok. Y ahora, este ranguito de acá lo bajaría yo a justamente esta zona. Ahí es donde más sentido tiene. Sí. Expande. Ok. Expande. Ok. Y me atrevería a bajar esto acá. Deme un segundo. No. Acá. Ok. Para que tenga algo de coherencia esto. Perdiendo el rango, la mitad del rango, definitivamente vamos a la parte baja en los 18. una vez que perdamos los 18, la siguiente parte baja del rango son los 13.80. Yo creo que los 13.80 va a ser más o menos donde encontremos un fondo, puede ser más abajo. No, ahora estoy intentando, esto es adivinar completamente. Lo que sí pensamos simplemente y que estamos viendo acá, este es un alto más bajo, ahora estás cayendo y de llevarte justamente los 23.31 acá, esta zona baja, vas a ir 100%, bueno, muy probablemente a visitar la zona de los $18. De no poder encontrar soporte acá, tu zona donde a siguiente para poner los ojos son los 13.64. ¿Puede bajar más de eso? Sí, sí. Ahorita se va a dar la vuelta y va a darnos una sorpresa a la alza. No, ¿quieres que te dé una sorpresa a la alza? Literalmente esto tiene que cerrar, no solo por encima de estos promedios, pero vamos a empezar con la diaria por encima de todos tus promedios. Y eso es del $26 hasta los 32. Tiene que dar un movimiento fortísimo esa zona. La semanal que va a cerrar ya en ¿cuánto tiempo? En básicamente 2 días y 3 horas. Está pintando también acá otra vela estilo topera y muy probablemente nos vaya a mandar a la parte baja, por ahí de los $21, donde está nuestro promedio del 55. ¿Qué podemos hacer para superar todo esto? Una vez más, tienes que cerrar por encima del rechazo de todas las temporalidades y ese rechazo de todas las temporalidades está me parece que en los 31. En un segundo. Correcto, en los $31. Para ser bajistas, lo único que tienes que hacer es llevarte este mínimo en los 23.29 y una vez que te los lleves a la baja, vas a dar continuación al siguiente objetivo. Así que somos bajistas, se ve bajista en todas las temporalidades por ahora, no hay nada que lo cambie de opinión y a menos de que ocurra un milagro, salga una noticia que nadie se esperó, etcétera, o que algo extraño pase, tendrías que llevarte este máximo acá en los 21 y de ahí, en los 27, perdón, digo en los 31 y de ahí empezar a cocinar el camino para arriba. La media de acá arriba está en los 37, querrías pasar los 37 para poder llegar a los 44, etcétera. Pero por ahora, Oclo no pinta nada bien y la pregunta es, ¿va a sobrevivir esto? ¿Qué tanto va a bajar? No tengo ni puta idea, tíos. Es así de sencillo. Así de sencillo se las pongo, se las dejo, se las toco, la paso. Estoy hablando de fútbol americano, lo que tengo en la cabeza es que ya viene el draft. Ya viene el draft para todos los que estamos emocionados por ello. Pero eso es todo, básicamente, damas y caballeros, lo hemos logrado. Llegamos hasta el final de todo esto. Veo que Alex todavía sigue aquí. Sorry, Alex, I just saw you. I had told Farhan to thank you so much for everything and to fuck off. But I'm going to be very polite with you. I'm sorry. You're muted, by the way. And I muted you again. There you go.
I wasn't sure. I'll formally sign off then. I'll see you boys later.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Y ahora sí, con eso nos quedamos. Excelente día. Pásenla muy bien. Cualquier pregunta, ahí está el Discord, lo tienen aquí abajo. Absolutamente gratis. Ahí está Alex todo el maldito día como enfermo. Así que vayan a preguntarle cosas, a hacerlo enojar. No, no es cierto. Les mando un fuerte abrazo. Cuídense mucho. Gracias por estar aquí conmigo. Voy a comprarle flores a mi mujer. ¿Por qué? Porque por muchos años le dejé de comprar flores, se emputó mucho, pero ahora le compro flores todo el tiempo. Y me dirán, güey, ¿ha mejorado algo? No, pero le voy a comprar flores. No se crean, les mando un abrazo.